This and that are the same. So you're just going back and forth, going back and forth. You know, if he hits flag, if there's a flag, you know, you want to make sure it gets turned off. You're going to have flag on for like 5-10 minutes, which has happened before, and it looks really bad when you got the flag. It's like, you know, it looks really bad. Making sure that the possession is correct is really big. The amount of timeouts. Oh, timeout. To take away timeout, they're down here at the very bottom of the score. That's huge.
Check, check, check. Check 1 2 1 2.
Number 68, Hunter Knox, and number 74, Dominic Lito.
Drag this bar.
FRC.
We want to get around here. Yeah, up here.
John
Check, check, check. I guess we can't hear each other.
Jared Boyd.
Oh, this is the problem. I got you to talk. Knock this down.
Number 39, Prominence.
And then,
Akubu
yeah, around halfway.
Awanika.
And then go down.
And number 59, Tyler Clemens.
And then, yeah, and then just knock me up over here. All right. We are here. Good evening. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College Football at Watch DVC Sports with our production team of Kevin Tucholsky, Logan Nones, Octavio Magana, sorry about that, and join alongside Noah Williams doing color. My name is Max Gress. We are here tonight for the Vikings home opener as they take on the 1-0 Feather River Eagles. The Vikings come into this game 0-1 after dropping their season opener to West Hill Coalinga 29-35. Hoyer threw 2 interceptions for the Vikings. Total of 6 turnovers in that game, so they'll definitely have to clean it up. They want to get a win over this 1-0 Eagles team. And Feather River comes into this game 1-0 after a blowout win, 41-6 over the College of the Sequoias, as they put together a balanced performance and a blistering offense, putting up 496 yards, passing for 235, and rushing for 261 yards. It's going to be a fun game here tonight in Pleasant Hill. Stay tuned for kickoff here on Watch DVC Sports. We're back here at Viking Stadium as we wait for kickoff here in Pleasant Hill, California. We've got a fun one tonight with Feather River coming into this game 1-0, and the Vikings come in 0-1, trying to get their first win of the season here at Viking Stadium.
Yeah, Max, it's going to be a good matchup here. Looking forward to see if DVC can make the comeback and take a step forward after the loss last week.
So, back deep for Diablo Valley College to get this opening kickoff is Rayshawn Alexander, and I believe that's Ray Jackson, both the running backs. The ball is short. It's picked up by one of the up men, number 18, and that is DeRay McDonald. And the Vikings will start their opening drive of this home game just shy of the 25-yard line. So the Vikings offense comes out with sophomore quarterback Gerard Hoyer at the helm. He did not have the outing that he wanted last week as he threw 2 interceptions in that match against West Hills Coalinga. But he's coming back, trying to bounce back, and looking to have a big show tonight. In that matchup, he threw for 23 for 43 with 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So some good and some bad, but tonight we're hoping it's all going to be good.
Well, the Vikings started off with a slot in the right.
And the Vikings start out with the full backfield, twins to the right, 1 receiver alone out to the left. They motion out the slot man, fake the handoff. Now they hand it up the middle. Running out to the right side is Rashay Alexander, and he has nowhere to go as the defensive line for the Feather River Eagles completely smother out that play. So they're going to work 2nd and 13 here now on 2nd down.
That was a great play by the Feather River defensive line, trapping all the holes, nowhere for it to go for the running back.
Full backfield once again for Diablo Valley College as they work with the dual running back set with twins slotted out to the left. Hoyer waits for the call as he sends his running back out. They pass it out to the screen, out to Alexander, and Alexander cannot get his hands on that ball. It looked like he had a little bit of room on that sideline, but not much to go. So the Vikings offense is stagnant as they face a 3rd and long to start off this opening drive.
Yeah, unfortunately, Alexander could have had that catch. Things like that just happened. He did have a lot of room on the outside. Let's see if we can regroup for the next play.
So they try to go to Alexander 2 times in a row. We'll see what they do on 3rd down as they stay in that same formation. Twins to the left, double backs in the backfield. Hoyer reading the defense, waits for the snap. Gets the call, gets the snap. 3-step drop back from the shotgun, gets hit as he throws the ball.
Fight breaks out in the backfield.
And yeah, so number 96 for the Feather River defense, that's Capena Teixeira. He got in a little bit of a scuffle with the DVC offensive lineman, but unfortunately for DVC, they lose 3 yards on that first opening drive, and now they have to punt it and see if their defense can make another big play like they did last week.
Yeah, the quarterback Hoyer had it as open man. Number 10, the receiver on the right, just couldn't quite get the amount of time that he needed to get that pass off in time. Now they face a 4th down.
So Jaden Jones, the running back, is out there for Feather River at about the 27-yard line as the punt for Prom goes high. It bounces down at just short of the 31-yard line, and it bounces outside. So Feather River will start their opening drive at the 30-yard line as we look to see what this DVC defense will be able to do coming forward for their opening drive. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College football here on DVC Sports, and I guess we'll keep it here instead of taking a break. Sure. So not a very impressive opening drive for DVC, but their strength always lays in their defense. They used to be called D-line U for the longest time, so we'll see if this defensive line, packed with some big bodies up front, will be able to send some pressure.
Right, I'm looking forward to see how the Vikings can come back from a stagnant offensive first series and see how they can do well here in this next drive.
Drummond is the quarterback for Feather River now as he gets the snap, tosses it out to the left side. He has a little bit of a zone, but he's stacked up right away. It's a fumble on the field, and the Vikings look to see that they have it.
That's it right there. Get her done.
Ryan Payne, the man who comes in tonight with the LSU offer, comes up big, and he forces another turnover for his campaign here. So great job from the Vikings.
That is a fantastic play there on the defense. causing the forced fumble and recovering it all in the same play. Just a great showmanship of defensive expertise right there, and that's what got the offense back out on the field with great field position nonetheless.
That's what you have to do. When you have an offense that is a little bit of a stagnant offense, you don't have to worry about punting when you got a defense like DVC. If they go out there, they get that turnover, and they put you up in scoring position right now. So the Vikings work with trips left as they work out of the pistol formation this time. And Hoyer is looking for the snap. They hand it off up the right side, finds a little bit of a seam as Alexander keeps driving his feet, going all the way out to the sideline, and he'll pick up 5 on the play.
And it looks like another fight's breaking out on here on the field. There are high tensions and high emotions here on the field today. You know, both teams are very competitive, and they both want to win.
13:30 left on this clock. And DVC looks to have a little bit of momentum now as they stole that momentum from Feather River on that turnover.
That's a great run by Alexander on that last play, but you can't say enough about the offensive line and the work they do.
Spread formation for the Vikings now as they work out of the pistol. Hoyer in the backfield with Alexander. Waits for the snap. Snap is off. Hoyer, 3-step drop. He's pressured. He gets the ball off outside to number 86. That is Andrew Leonard, the wide receiver for the Vikings, and we'll see if that was enough to move the chains. It's looking like it's right on the line, but there is a flag on the play. It's a roughing the passer call on the Eagles, so that's going to move the Vikings forward 15 yards and move them into the red zone. So instead of speculating on if that ball would have made a first down with the catch, instead they get the penalty and they move it forward 15 yards.
Well, it was a great route by Leonard, breaking on the top of his route and being able to come back to the ball, but turns out they didn't need it anyway.
So now the pistol formation is working for the Vikings right now as Ray Jackson comes in the backfield, the freshman running back out of Clayton Valley. He sees what he can do in the stint of Alexander as Hoyer works with trips left and a lone receiver out to the right. They hand it off this time to Jackson. Jackson has nowhere to go as he's tumbled down after a half-a-yard loss. So it's going to be 2nd and goal from the 11-yard line.
The defensive end, number 50, Hunter Addison from Feather River, came down very hard in the end, and that was a great play to halt the run and stop it in the backfield.
Yeah, and Addison, as I was watching films coming into this, he made a ton of plays for this Feather River team last week, so he's definitely going to be one of the players that we have to watch out for in this game. Same formation for the Vikings now, as Ray Jackson stays in the backfield. 2nd and 11. Hoyer gets the snap, toss it out, slant route as his receiver gets pummeled down at the 1-yard line, and that looked to be Roman Shahagan getting it all the way down to the 1-yard line. The Vikings are going to bring in a heavy set as they see if they can bully ball, run the ball in at 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line.
Great route by Shahagan, being able to break on his route into the slant into the middle and beat the corner in the end zone. That's a great route. Great throw.
This is an extremely heavy set for the Vikings as they hand it off with 2 defensive linemen in the backfield, and they push in with ease, and that is going to be a touchdown for the Vikings, but there's some dirty laundry on the field, so we're going to have to see what this call is on. It might be a holding call on the Vikings, the way they're looking dejected walking out off the field.
I feel from the moment Alexander got the ball, he knew he was going to get in that end zone and let the defense know about it.
So the kicking team's coming in, so it doesn't look like it. It is a touchdown. The touchdown is good on the field, but there is a foul on DVC after the play. Some unsportsmanlike conduct, so that's probably going to be pinned on the next kickoff. But the Vikings get into the end zone. That was Jackson in the backfield rushing in for his first touchdown of the season. And the Vikings are going to set up for a PAT.
A great defensive play on the first possession of the series leads to great field possession for the offense, and it leads to an easy score. That's
So
all you can ask for.
Prom lines up, see if he can dot the I on the play. And they fake it now. They toss it outside. Prom working his way all the way to the left, dives towards the end zone. He fumbles it forward. We'll see if he crossed the line. And he crossed the line. So the Vikings go. They gamble on the PAT, and they will go up 8-0 over the Feather River Eagles. You are tuned in to Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. We will be right back. So the Vikings are kicking off deep from their own 20-yard line after that unsportsmanlike penalty after the touchdown. But they go up, and with 11:33 on the clock, the Vikings are up 8-0 to start this game off.
Kickoff from the 20-yard line.
Prom will kick this one off from the 20-yard line as they move up, and the Eagles look to get some pretty decent field positioning to start the second drive of the game.
Feather River moving their first lineup just about 5 yards.
Up, it's deep.
Ball is up. It's a deep kick going to the left sideline. It's looking like it might bounce out of bounds. It touches the Feather River player before going all the way back. And then the ball will go out of bounds at the 2-yard line. So despite the penalty, the Eagles are going to get a terrible starting position. And we'll see if this Vikings defense can come up and maybe get another 2 points to get an unconventional 10.
Well, this would be a great turn of events for the Vikings. If the defense could come up big with another play here and get their offense even better field position this time.
Clock is 11:30.
So they're looking like they want to get them to punt or kick off again after earning those 2 points. But there's some so unfortunately for the Vikings, I didn't see that dirty laundry on the field. We got a brand new field here at Diablo Valley College, so that's pretty nice, but the yellow flags still seem to blend in a little bit. So unfortunately, despite the great kickoff from Prom, there's an offside penalty on the Vikings, and they'll have to do it off again about 5 yards deeper if I'm not mistaken. So that's just an absolute killer.
Unfortunate turn of events there, absolutely.
So now they'll move it back 5 yards, and they'll see if they can kick it off again. So the Eagles, despite shooting themselves in the foot, will get another chance of life.
The single number I'll get when he turns.
So this is probably the worst kickoff positioning I've seen in this whole entire college football season. I know it's only the second week now, but man, the Vikings have really dug themselves into a hole here.
It is not an ideal situation to be kicking from, absolutely not.
Especially when you have guys running in off the sideline super late. You just kicked off. They get a replacement right over here. That's number 19, Zane Cribbs, the defensive back coming. And so Prom will try to kick it off from the 15-yard line. We'll see if he can repeat that magic that he just showed off.
Would be quite impressive if he could repeat that twice.
So the kickoff team will line up at the 10-yard line. That's just killer to see if you're a Vikings fan. And Prom will see if he can just boot this one deep and hope they can get it before Feather River returns it to about the 40. At this point, do you just kick it out of bounds to give it to them at the 40?
At some point, you'd have to think that a penalty could help you here.
So the kick goes up. It's a not well-handled kick once again as they pick it up. Number 12 works his way all the way to the sideline, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 32-yard line. That is Latavius Holiday for the Feather River Eagles, getting all the way down, and they will get starting position from the 30-yard line. So, look, the coverage team did their job. They're starting at the 30-yard line now. And the Vikings, it's not too bad. That's only about 5 yards better than you would get with a regular kickoff.
Despite the long kick, they still got just about where they want them.
So Jalen Drummond will come out, the Oakland native out of Oakland High. We'll see what he can do here on his second set. He has an up back next to him in the pistol formation as they hand it off this time. Right up the middle, off the right side of the line, looking like he has a little bit of daylight is Patton. But Patton is tackled down from behind after a 9-yard gain. And the Vikings will have to face 2nd and 1.
A terrific move by Antoine Patton off the right edge. Gets him a great run.
He just got a great hole from his offensive lineman, and that pushed him down for a first down, actually. They said he got 10 on the play. Motion man handed off to Patton once again, going off the right side, pushing the pow, and he's suplexed down to the ground after a 2-yard gain for the Vikings. That was number 45, or 46, rather, Khalid Rubin.
It might be Suplex City out here just like it is with Brock Lesnar out on the DVC field. That was a gnarly tackle.
A German suplex is illegal, so that was a legal suplex there on the tackle, so good job staying legal but still getting a play for the highlight tape. They get a pass here from Drummond as he rolls out to his right side. He's very eager to run, as we saw in the first game, as he was one of the leading rushers for the Eagles last game, as he rushed for a total of, let me see, sorry, it's hard to get up here with a total of 74 yards on 22 attempts, so he's definitely a running quarterback.
Shades of Michael Vick or RG3.
Possibly. They line up now, pistol formation with the up back to the left side, facing a third and manageable. Fake the handoff, throwing deep, and that is a miscommunication. They had a man streaking down the field. That was Michael Spivak. He was wide open, but fortunately for the Vikings, they will get out of this. The Feather River Eagles will have to punt just from shy from the 50-yard line.
Yeah, the quarterback, Jalen Dummett, doing a great job to find his open receiver, but unfortunately just overthrew him just a little bit, and now the Vikings are forced to punt the football.
Yeah, Josh Ramirez was out there for the Vikings. He was dropping back into deep thirds, but he did not get there in time. But fortunately for the Vikings, that pass was no good. The punt is up. It's going to bounce all the way down. So it looked initially like a bad punt, but that one got a great bounce as it will be down at the 13-yard line. So the Vikings will come to the field for their third drive of the game, starting at their own 13-yard line. So the defense did their job. They forced this Feather River offense that looked almost unstoppable last game to punt it, and the Vikings will see if they're able to do something terrific on this offensive series.
Yes, one thing to notice about the Vikings defense is that it is fairly consistent, and it's doing a great job of shutting down the Feather River College today.
Twins right now as the pistol formation shifts into a shotgun snap as Hoyer looks for the snap. They fake the jet sweep, hand it off this time to Turner. Turner gets off the left side, but it's blown up all the way. That left side of the offensive line with Robin Verland just had nowhere to go. And the Vikings will face 2nd and 14 now from their own 11-yard line.
Number 45 from the Golden Eagles, Keyshawn Douglas, with a great tackle on the right side, being able to stop the play, and I think that's their 3rd or 4th tackle for a loss on a run.
Yeah, this offensive line for the Vikings is doing an all right job pass blocking, but the run game has not worked for them very well. They go to that same formation, spread formation, and shotgun snap for Hoyer. Hoyer motions the man over, so they got trips right now, and they're going to have to time out on the field. So Hoyer did not like what he saw after that motion. They did not shift alongside, so they were checking for that man coverage. There was nothing there, and the Vikings will take a timeout, and we'll take a timeout here. You're tuned into Diablo Valley College Football here on Watch DVC Sports. Back to action here at Viking Stadium as the Vikings face a 2nd and 12 coming out of the spread formation with the pistol back. Hoyer calls for the snap, looks to his right, tosses it out, and that's caught by the Vikings, Roman Shahagun, and he's knocked out of bounds after getting enough yardage so they convert on 2nd and long.
That's a great job of creating space off of the corner on that out route, catching the ball and being able to turn upfield to get a good amount of yards on 1st down.
Yeah, he only ran a 5-yard out route, but he was able to be creative with his footwork, work his way down the sideline, and he picks up enough yardage for the 1st down. So the Vikings go spread once again with that totem pole set, Twins left and right as they work out of the pistol now. Pistol shifts up to a shotgun formation as Turner works here. And the hard count works as the Feather River defensive lineman steps outside. Actually, they're going to say it's a false start, so unfortunately that hard count worked a little too well, and the Vikings jumped offsides themselves. So false start for the Vikings as they're going to have to face 1st and 15 from the 21-yard line. Same formation as they work out of the pistol here. Motion goes up to shotgun now as Turner moves up. So same exact play as last time. Great rush from the inside tackle. But Hoyer has plenty of time to get the pass. He gets off to the middle of field to, I believe that's Andrew Leonard, but he just cannot handle that heat that Hoyer was tossing out there.
And that's great protection from the offensive line, creating a steady pocket for Hoyer to throw in. He had his man over the middle. Unfortunately, he couldn't make the catch.
Yeah, Keyshawn Douglas got a great rush on the inside right over there. I thought he was going to be able to get past there. But the Vikings do a great job with that interior pass defense, and they hold it up. But unfortunately, they were not able to convert as they're going to face 2nd and 15 now. 2nd and 15. Hoyer gets the snap, hands it off, finds a little bit of a seam inside, but that's smothered up after a 1-yard gain. So very little room to run inside as Isaiah Turner gets tackled down. And for the stop, Francis Nadozi, the linebacker, filling up the gap for the Eagles. 3rd down and long as the Vikings offense, it seems like on their side of the field they haven't been able to do much. When they were on the other side of the field, they got in for the touchdown, but now they're going to face a 3rd and long. Trips left as Hoyer scans the field. Hoyer waiting for the snap, calls it now, gets the snap off. Looking to his left, steps up inside the pocket, throws one deep. It's a seam route now, and that's a dig down for Andrew Leonard. Andrew Leonard ran a 10-yard dig, but then he moved his way all the way down, making the move for the 1st down, and the Vikings convert.
What you have to be doing to be successful as a receiver is be able to create space for yourself, especially in zone defense, and he did a great job of it there.
So no huddle offense for the Vikings as they work trips right with the lone receiver. That's Leonard out to the left side. Isaiah Turner still in the backfield. So the snap goes off. It's tossed out of bounds, but there's a flag on the field. We'll see what that flag is on. It still tossed the ball out, so I'm thinking it might have been an offsides on the defense. But in the new rules of college football and NFL now, they're supposed to blow the play dead if it is an offsides on the defensive lineman. So not at the junior college level, apparently. And not at the Division I level, so I guess that's just the NFL. So the new rule book, we're all still getting used to it. And so Hoyer seemed to have an opportunity on that play, but he couldn't do his best Aaron Rodgers impression on that one. Working out the pistol, stepping up to the left side of Hoyer is Turner, and he has a pocket to pass. Toss it out the left side, miscommunication as Dylan Alves for the Vikings ran a post route where it looked like he was supposed to run an in route, and they'll face 2nd and 5 from the 43-yard line.
And it seemed as though as if Hoyer put the ball in the right location, maybe just a little too quick, but the receiver did need to get his head around just a little quicker on that route.
Yeah, he could have been running that dig route and just fake me out here up in the booth, but unfortunately that miscommunication still leads to an incomplete pass for Hoyer as he works out of the shotgun now with trips to his right and lone receiver out to the left. That's Leonard once again. Hoyer gets the snap, tosses it up over the defensive lineman. Hoyer gets it off to Turner, and Turner gets pushed out of bounds after a 3-yard gain. Isaiah Turner, the sophomore running back out of Pittsburgh High, trying to become a little bit of a passing threat coming out of the backfield.
There might be somebody injured on Feather River College in the backfield.
So we have a man down, and we'll take a break as the Vikings will face 3rd and 2 on the other side of this break. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College football here on Watch DVC Sports. So number 52 for the Feather River Eagles, that was Dalen Hart. He walks off the field under his own power, so that's always great to see. And the Vikings will face a 3rd and 2 now from the 46-yard line. They're up 8-0 with 6:20 left on this clock. Ray Jackson joins Hoyer in the backfield now as they get a motion from the slot receiver coming out left. So it looked like it was a little bit of a miscommunication there as they still get the ball off. And the Vikings with DeMario McKenzie convert. They move the chains, and they will get 1st and down from the 45-yard line.
And that's a great catch by McKenzie running on the outside. The tight formation that the Vikings did allowed for the defense to scoot in a little bit, and it allowed them to run out to the sideline and make a great catch for a 1st down.
So it looked like they were running an RPO there as Hoyer just pulled the ball out at the very last second. And a late hit out of bounds will push the ball even further forward as the Vikings will get it at the 30-yard line now, facing 1st and 10. Trips left with the lone receiver out to the right. That's Sahagan. And Ray Jackson is in the backfield for the Vikings. Hoyer waiting for the snap, hands it off. Jackson finds a seam, cuts to his right, and he's dropped down after a gain of 4 at the 24-yard line, or the 26-yard line. So Ray Jackson just made a man miss in the pocket, and he got his way forward for some positive yardage.
That's a great cut in the backfield by Jackson, getting himself some room to run along the outside. Even though it wasn't a lot, he did get a substantial amount of yards for a 1st down.
Working at the pistol now, same formation as they work. Trips left, lone receiver out to the right. Pistol formation as Hoyer reads the defense. It looks to be man all the way down the board. Gets the snap, hands it off. A big hole for Jackson as Jackson tumbles, spins his way up, goes into the end zone, and the Vikings put another 6 on the board.
Hallelujah, McKenzie. What a great athletic play from McKenzie, and that's going to be another 6 for the Vikings.
So that was actually Ray Jackson on the play. He got tackled. It looked like he got tackled after gaining the 1st down yard. He spun off the play, used that momentum, came all the way out, and the Vikings are up 14-0 pending this extra kick.
You can't say enough about the athletic ability of that running back, being able to spring free in the open field and break a couple tackles to get his team 6 points.
Yeah, and this is a good sign for the Vikings right here. Not only are they coming out here getting the touchdown, waiting for the PAT, but it looked like the Eagles actually gave up on the play once they saw a little bit of once Ray Jackson was able to see the day of light. So for a team that was up so big against the College of Sequoias, they were facing a lot of adversity here in Viking Stadium tonight as the Diablo Valley Vikings are up 15-0 over the Feather River Eagles with 5:07 left on the clock. And the Vikings, they look like they got drilled very hard after all those turnovers. They're taking care of the ball, and they're making it happen.
I would definitely say that the Vikings are making a great comeback from last week after a loss. It seems that they really are getting after it this game, and they want to get the W.
So very nice play from the Vikings, doing everything right. They run the ball well, they pass it well, and what's really standing out for me right now is the fact that Jaron Hoyer doesn't have to do it all himself. He's getting some quick passes off to his wide receivers, and the wide receivers are making the moves to convert the chains.
Absolutely. The big thing that did it for me on that drive was 3rd down conversions, especially that last one. A great way to just keep moving the ball down the field and trust in the offense.
So Prom will kick it off from the 35-yard line now. It's almost strange that they're not kicking it from the 15-yard line after all that stuff that happened last time. And the Geese are starting to flock down here at Viking Stadium. 2 deep men back for Feather River are Jimmy Allen and Latavius Holiday. The kick goes deep, goes all the way into the end zone as Holiday gets it. He decides to take it out. He returns it up the sideline. He's tackled down at the 15-yard line. His coaches are going to be yelling at him on the sideline. Instead of getting it from the 25, they'll take it from the 15, and the Vikings defense will come out on the field and see if they can make some more magic happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a booming kick. That's what you call a bootleg.
So the sophomore kicker out of Hercules, Prom, has been doing so much. Came in here, won this kicking job, and I mean he's showing a real talented leg on this field tonight. So the Eagles will work out trips right on the right side of the field as they work with Drummett in the backfield. He is alongside Antone Patton. So they hand it off. Nope, they hold it off. The quarterback takes it this time. A little bit of a read option as they continue to push the PAL. And Drummett falls forward for a 5-yard gain on the play. They'll face 2nd and 5 from the 21-yard line.
That's a good run by the quarterback. The defense for the Vikings continues to seem pretty sturdy. And let's see if they can keep that up.
So you'll definitely see a lot of read option from Drummett tonight as he works out of the pistol. We'll see if he takes it again. They hand it off this time. Bouncing outside is Patton, and Patton loses his footing after falling down, but there's some flags on the field. We'll wait to see what this call on the field is now. So tackle made by Jamel Rosales, the dime corner for the Vikings. And we're still waiting to see what that call on the field is. So if you are watching the stream, you'll notice the big man on the field right now. That's Christopher Strotter. He weighs in at a heaping 409 pounds. That 6'6" defensive lineman is looking to bolster the middle of the field. So the penalty is on DVC. They'll move it down. It's going to be 1st and 10. And we'll see what that big boy in the middle can do for the DVC Vikings. They hand it off the left side of the field to Patton. Patton gets smothered down. No room to run. And the Vikings will get the tackle by the hands of Tenea Pulu, the sophomore leader. He was leading the junior college circuit in tackles and sacks last year. So a lot of eyes on Pulu.
A very impressive defensive prospect. He is a great play on the tackle last defensive possession.
So pistol formation out of the backfield as they work with 4 receivers, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, as Drummett gets a little antsy now with the play clock running down. It's at 9 now. They look for the snap, claps his hands, gets the snap, fakes the handoff, throws it over. It's almost intercepted, but that heaping fastball goes straight into the hands of Dimitri Portillos, and they will look to go into the hurry-up offense now as they move the chains forward.
A great catch by Portillos on the curl.
So Drummett hands the ball off this time, and no, he'll keep it himself, working outside, jukes a defender, working his way off the left side of the field, gets past Payne, and he has some room to the left side, running all the way down before he's pinned out of bounds at the 31-yard line, or at the 34-yard line, rather. So he moves from the 40 to the 34-yard line as the quarterback from Oakland, California shows off his athleticism.
That's an absolutely huge play for the Feather River Golden Eagles. They're trying to find some life here on the offensive side of the ball.
So the Golden Eagles have now worked from the 32-yard line as they are knocking on the door of the red zone for the Vikings right now. They work out of the same pistol formation with Patton in the backfield. And they have 2 running backs in the backfield when you add Drummett's abilities and athletic abilities. So they toss the fade up to the right side, 1-on-1. The ball is caught, but it's out of bounds. Great defense from the defender. That's the cornerback Matthew Larks for the Vikings, just pushing the receiver out of bounds with his body and giving him no shot at that ball.
Even though the focus was there on the catch, the feet just weren't in place for him to come down with it as a possession.
Yeah, and just before the ball was even thrown, the wide receiver was essentially out of bounds. So, I mean, Coach Dar down there teaches some great defensive back techniques, and Larks, the freshman out of Benicia, is definitely taking hold to that. Spread formation blitz comes the way of the Vikings. They hand it off to the left side. That's Patton. Patton cuts his way up, and he gets no gain on the play as the Vikings force a 3rd and long now. So they bent a little bit, but they are not breaking as the Golden Eagles face 3rd and long here from the 32-yard line.
Oh my, and that is a big hit on the defensive side. Way to assert themselves into the tackle and into the play, being able to dictate the flow of the game here with their aggression.
Jaden Jones checks in the backfield alongside Drummond now. They're called the Lightning and the Thunder because Patton's small and fast, but Jones is just a big, hefty back, weighing in at 225, standing at 6'1", the freshman out of Culver, Oregon. So the ball is tossed up to the left side. Flag falls onto the field, but that was not passed. Or the pass was incomplete. So we'll see if that call will go on the Vikings. As we wait for the referees to deliberate a little bit on the field. So the ball is definitely going. That's a call on the Vikings. It looks like it's going to be a pass interference call as they move the ball up 15 yards. So penalties are really starting to hurt DVC right now as the Golden Eagles work their way into the red zone.
And this has to be a breath of fresh air for the Golden Eagles. After struggling all day on offense, it's good here at the end of the first to get some life going.
From the 18-yard line, the Golden Eagles will face 1st and 10 as they work with Drummond and Jones in the backfield. They motion the wide receiver Michael as they fake the handoff, and they take it himself, or pardon me, they hand the ball off to Jones now. So Jones showing that power running, working all the way down and getting 9 on that carry.
And that's what you call one of those down and dirty runs. Jaden Jones doing a great job in the backfield.
So the up man is in the backfield. They hand the ball off to Jones. Once again, Jones has no room to run this time, but he still bounces out, shows a little bit of finesse, and he gets the first down for the Golden Eagles as that's going to move the chains. It's 1st and goal now from the 10-yard line, or the 9-yard line rather. So the defense that looks so great to start out this game is starting to face a little adversity as the dime corner, Jamel Rosales, comes back onto the field. His older brother actually played football with me here at DVC over at Cal Poly now. That's Jalen Rosales. As it's going to be a quarterback keeper all the way through, but the pressure from the safety, Jake Peralta from Clayton Valley, making his way in and getting the tackle for loss.
Jake Peralta doing a great job of reading the play and coming up on the run.
Pistol formation for Drummond now as he carries the ball again. Quarterback keeper coming off the right side, and he's smothered down. The DVC defensive lineman doing a great job scraping down that line. And just when you think they're about to give up some points, they say, no, we're going to keep it going, we're going to keep it strong and show that Viking pride. From the 6-yard line now, Feather River is feeling a little bit perplexed as they have 20 on the play clock and 36 left on this first quarter of play. Jaden Jones in the backfield alongside Jalen Drummond as Drummond keeps it himself, gets piled up, and he's knocked down, gets a gain of about 3 yards, but the Vikings do not let him in the end zone, falls 2 yards short, and the Golden Eagles will have a decision to make, seeing if they want to kick it or if they want to go for it here on 4th down and goal from the 2-yard line.
As the Vikings were able to create a brick wall at the goal line and keep the Golden Eagles from scoring.
So they'll have a lot of time as the first quarter comes to a close as the Vikings lead 15-0 after this first quarter of play. You are tuned in to Diablo Valley College Football here on Watch DVC Sports. So 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, and Drummond and the Golden Eagles are going to say, hey, if we can't get 2, we can't win this game. So they pass out to the left side. They get the man. It's a back shoulder fade, but that's great coverage by the side of the nickel corner, Josh Ramirez. And the Golden Eagles will turn it over on down, so the Vikings get away with another defensive stop.
Josh Ramirez able to keep a hand on that offensive receiver and make sure he doesn't lose him, so he has some wherewithal to break up the pass.
So the Vikings will come anytime they're in their own end zone, they're starting to have a little bit of trouble, or their own side of the field. They've had a little bit of trouble on offense, so we'll see if they can change the tides here as they're up 15-0 in the second quarter of play.
Yeah, let's see if the Vikings can get some momentum going off of a great defensive stand in the red zone.
So they'll come out in the pistol formation. I guess they don't do any under center here in Viking Stadium as they come spread from their own 2-yard line. They shift the running back, that's Alexander, as they hand it off to Alexander. Alexander falls forward for a gain of about half a yard, so he does not get much on the play, but he doesn't fall in the end zone, so the Vikings still have some life with them.
And that's always a good thing, especially when you're this close to your own goal line. You just want to keep moving the ball forward and don't take that safety.
So the Golden Eagles are basically trusting their defense here. They said, hey, even if we don't get it, we're still going to get some great field positioning if you guys stop this offense. So Rayshawn Alexander steps to the side of Hoyer. Hoyer drops back, tosses it out, and it's almost intercepted, but it goes straight into the hands of McKenzie. And McKenzie falls forward, going out of bounds, and it looks like he got just enough yardage moving past the chain so the Vikings will get out of their own end zone and they'll get a little bit of breather room as they work from the 14-yard line.
Great focus by McKenzie there to stay with the play, follow the ball all the way into his hands, even after the defender breaks up the pass.
So I believe that was Tyler Davis on the coverage. It just went straight through his hands into the hands of McKenzie. Pistol formation as Hoyer claps for it, hands the ball off this time, and Alexander working out to the left side, finds a little bit of space, working forward, and is dropped after a gain of about 9. So it's right at the sticks. We'll see if they move it. They'll call it a full 10. So Alexander gets that seam on the sideline and rushes forward for 10 yards.
Alexander getting a great toss on the side there and being able to turn upfield. That's a great run.
So the tackle was made by number 14, Francis Nadozi. But the Vikings still convert for the first down. Joined alongside Hoyer in the backfield now is Turner as they work with trips right, lone receiver out to the left of him as Sahagan. Fake the handoff, toss it out to Sahagan, and that ball goes way too far out. Sahagan had some real estate in front of him after running the slant, but the pass just was not in the accurate spot.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sahagan created great space off the top of his route from the corner and was able to find some space. Unfortunately, the pass just didn't make it.
So Hoyer will see what he can do now on 2nd and 10 as they work trips right with Turner in the backfield here in the shotgun formation. Shotgun snap for Hoyer. Looking to his right, decides to run it himself, has a seam working to the sideline, and he rushes out of bounds after a 6-yard gain on the play. So Hoyer isn't known as much of a runner, but on that play, he saw that that was the right play to make, and he'll make it 3rd and manageable now from the 34-yard line.
That's a very smart choice by Hoyer, reading the defense, seeing that there was nothing available on the play, and being able to get as much as he can out of it.
So Dylan Alves checks out as Sahagan comes back into this game. It's rare that you see a DVC Viking offense get into the huddle formation, but they get in the huddle, they come out, and they'll work from the pistol with that spread formation, 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Turner about 3 yards back behind Hoyer. Steps up, he's in blocking as they toss outside, and Sahagan from his knees still manages to make the play, and he will get a gain of about 9 yards on the play as the DVC offense is looking like they're really starting to find their groove.
And this is what I mean by 3rd down conversions. Just a very clutch play, I guess you could say, by the receiver over there. Still laying on the ground, being able to get his hands up and make a great catch over by the side for the 1st down,
and that's
saving the drive.
That's a great toss from Hoyer as well. He saw Sahagan fell, but he knew he was able to get up there and toss the ball so he could catch it from his knees. Alexander checks back into this game alongside Hoyer now in the pistol formation. They hand it off. Nope, they fake it. They toss it out, and it's blown up all the way. So the pass goes the way of Justin Ross, but Cal Blanton, the defensive back for the Golden Eagles, comes up here, and he gets the tackle for only about a 1-yard gain for the Vikings.
TNT, Dynamite, whatever you want to call it, he blew it up right there on the first play.
So So they will face 2nd and 9 from the 43-yard line as the Vikings are up 15-0 with 11:46 left in this second quarter of play.
Nothing wrong with the chain game over there.
The chain game is having a little bit of problems, so they're going to take a stoppage on the field as they work that one. And yeah, defense is doing everything right tonight. Even when they get in that hard situation, they're able to come up here, come up with the big stop. The offense is looking like it's starting to really find its groove after that stagnated first drive. And man, this Vikings team is definitely looking very different from that team that lost after turning the ball over about 6 times in that first game against Coalinga.
And you can tell there is definitely a different mindset this week with the Vikings. It seems as though they're feeding both off of, the offense is feeding off of the defense and vice versa, and they're just creating energy and life for themselves in this game.
And that's how you want it. You're coming out on a home opener. There's not very many people in the crowd right now just because all the other sports going around. You have a tournament going on for volleyball. You have the women's soccer team out here. And, I mean, it's just, there's a ton going on here. And I'm just happy to be here calling some Diablo Valley college football.
Absolutely.
So Rayshawn Alexander is in there. He's going to be the running back on the play alongside Jared Hoyer as they huddle up and come back out in the pistol formation. And they work pistol formation, 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom as Rayshawn Alexander stands about 3 yards back. He steps up now, so the freshman running back is alongside the sophomore quarterback. And Hoyer rolls to his left, turns his body around, gets the ball off. That's complete to Sahagan, and Sahagan falls forward for a gain of 5 on the play. Or 6 on the play, rather.
And give credit to Hoyer on that play, scrambling out of the pocket, still being able to find a receiver on the move and making 3rd and manageable.
He was able to get that ball off and showing some pretty nifty footwork over there. So Hoyer is definitely showing that the sophomoric leadership over here as he's one of the few sophomores on this roster. They get the ball off. Hoyer will get it once again. Tosses it out to Alexander. Alexander makes the move, finds a seam, shows off the Jets, and he is tackled down. But it looks like there's going to be a penalty coming back the way of the offensive lineman as Anthony Vargas, the center for the Vikings, got in a little bit of a scuffle with the defensive lineman from the Golden Eagles.
Unfortunate on the penalty because Alexander made a great play on the outside. As you said, turning on the Jets and seeing a little bit of that heralded speed that we see.
So he will be kicked out of this game as Algin Malari will come in replacing him.
No, it's more than 48. It's 48 minus 15, that's 33, right?
The Vikings will come out in that pistol formation, so they do give them the movement of the chains. They do give them the first down, but they just won't get the exact yardage of that last play. So Ray Jackson comes in, the freshman out of Clayton Valley, stepping alongside Hoyer. Hoyer gets the snap off, gets a big rush up the middle, gets the ball off. It's tossed deep, and it's almost caught by Sahagan. Sahagan dived down to the ground. It was an underthrown pass as number 50, Hunter Addison, just came all up into the grill of Hoyer.
And you can see the undeniable effort by Sahagan on that dive, laying it out, putting it all on the line to make the catch. Unfortunately, just a little bit too overthrown for him there.
So you don't see very many blitz from this Feather River defense. They really rely on those front 4. And when you get pressure like that, you don't need to send a blitz. That defensive line did a great job forcing the ball out before Hoyer was ready to throw it. Ray Jackson alongside Hoyer now. Pistol formation out of the spread. Hand it off up the middle. Finds a seam, cuts to his right, and it looks like the ball came out on the play. We're looking for a number, and that goes the way of the Golden Eagles. So the Golden Eagles finally get a call going their way as the Vikings turn the ball over.
The Vikings got to put up brakes on their offensive series. It was going well until they turned the ball over like that. Now it's the Golden Eagles' turn to try to get something to go on the offensive side of the ball and maybe put some points on the board.
So just when things are starting to turn out right, the Vikings show a little bit of the inexperience that they showed in that first game as they turned the ball over 6 times. 2 interceptions, 4 fumbles, so you definitely cannot fumble the ball if you want to get wins at this level of play. So Jalen Drummett comes back out for his drive as he fakes the handoff. He's going to pass now, looking deep down the side of the field, and it's pushed out of bounds by Ryan Payne. And the pass is incomplete, but they're going to say Payne pushed him out of bounds, and it's going to be a pass interference call now.
Ryan Payne on the defensive effort, you could see just a little shove with the right arm that might have caused that flag to come on the field.
He did everything right in his defensive play until the very last moment when he just stretched out that arm, and that is a no-go. That's going to move the chains for the Golden Eagles. And a lot of eyes are on Ryan Payne, the 6-foot sophomore weighing in at 189. He picked up an offer from LSU in this current offseason, so a lot of people really got their eyes out on him. Anytime you get the SEC coming out to the junior college level, you know people are going to try to pick on you, and they're going to try to put him on his highlight tape and say, hey, if he can get to the SEC level, I can too.
He is definitely in the spotlight. He is a very naturally gifted athlete, and he's doing some great things here on the football field.
Holds up his hands right now, signaling the play from the sideline. And the Vikings will line up with a 4-man front now as the Eagles hand it off up the middle, getting a seam and fighting a way outside as Drummett. They held me off, and they caught me off guard on that play as Drummett pulled it out at the very last second, moved out to the sideline. And Drummett showing off the legs once again.
A fantastic block on the edge by Jordan Hoover, sealing off the edge for the quarterback to run all the way to the outside. Probably boosted that play about 15 to 20 yards.
Yeah, and Hoover's listed as a wide receiver, but he really plays that up back / tight end position, so he's in there to block, and he's showing a great job blocking. Hoover in the backfield once again. They hand the ball off this time to Jones. Jones cutting to this right side, gets stumbled up, and he's pushed down by a gang of Viking tacklers. Jaden Jones really taking an army to bring him down, as he's really shown that he is the thunder to this equation.
Jaden Jones is definitely flexing. He wants to go beast mode on this defense. He is running through it.
15-0, 9 minutes left in the second half. Or in the second quarter. They hand it off once again to Jaden Jones, and Jaden Jones will move the chains, getting deep into the red zone, as it's going to be 1st and goal from the 9-yard line for the Golden Eagles.
Jones using his power to his advantage there.
Jones is the feature back on this drive, as it's been all runs predominantly for this Golden Eagles offense. So they run it one more time, hand it off the right side of the field, bowling his way down and falling forward at the 1-yard line. Jaden Jones will get down, and the Vikings will be in some real trouble as they face 2nd and goal from the half-yard line.
Vikings in trouble once again. They're facing a lot of trouble here. Jaden Jones is demolishing this defense with his prowess.
So they keep quarterback keeper this time, finding his way all the way over right. There just weren't enough men on that right side of the field for the Vikings. And Jalen Drummond comes in for the first points of the game for this Feather River team, as they're starting to look like they're catching the groove as they did last game when they did so well against the College of the Sequoias.
That's a smart offensive play call by the Golden Eagles. Just running outside, having the lead blocker, and letting your athletes do the work.
Yeah, so when you got Jordan Hoover in the backfield over there, you basically have a fullback there blocking one of the defensive linemen or one of the linebackers, as they dot the I on that play right over there, getting the 7 points. But yeah, when you just have an athletic quarterback like Jalen Drummett, you're able to have so many other lead blockers going the way. So instead of having to rush the ball and then kind of playing 10 on 11 in that situation, as the quarterback is no longer an equation on the play after handing off that ball, they say, hey, we're going to go quarterback power. They pull everybody going right. Jaden Jones goes out there, blocks as well. And, I mean, that's an easy stroll for a touchdown for the Golden Eagles.
And now let's see if the Vikings can answer here, as they'll get the ball back here midway through the second quarter.
So Rayshawn Alexander comes out to the field alongside Ray Jackson. The 2 running backs come out of the play, and if this ball goes the way of Ray Jackson, you know he's going to want to make up for that fumble that led to those points from the Golden Eagles. Leo Vargas kicking deep, as the 2 deep men are those running backs for the Vikings. Staggered kickoff set as Vargas kicks the ball deep. This is a booming kick that's going to go straight into the hands of Alexander. Alexander gets it from the 5-yard line, cutting out to his left side, finding a little bit of a seam, cutting up right now, runs over 2 Golden Eagle defenders, and he will bring the ball out to the 30-yard line as Alexander shows off his return skills as well as his rushing skills.
Alexander, a great return there on that kick return. And Jemima, whoo, spread some syrup on that pancake.
From the 29-yard line now. Is there a penalty on the field? They're talking about it. And yeah, it's going to be a personal foul. That's what it's looking like. They're going to move or a holding call rather on the return team as they move the ball forward 5 more yards. So the Vikings will get an even better starting position as they start from the 35-yard line. Spread formation in the pistol formation. Alexander, who just had that great return, is in the backfield alongside Hoyer. Hoyer gets the snap, hands the ball off to Alexander. Alexander pushes forward, and he gets a gain of 2 on the play. Hoyer almost looked like he was trying to pull that ball out for a second and maybe run a read option of his own.
Chris Levesque, the offensive lineman right there, blocking, got into couple of scuffles right there with some of the defenders from Feather River.
So this is a definitely very chippy game. I mean, you can't blame him. Feather River came all the way down from Quincy. That's a long drive here to Diablo Valley, or to Diablo Valley College. So when you're on the bus that long, there's nothing to do but talk trash and get yourselves riled up. Pistol formation, they fake the handoff. Hoyer moves out to his right, jukes the defender, tosses it out to the right side, and he just throws that ball out of bounds. So Hunter Addison had a wide open shot on Hoyer, but Hoyer was able to use his footwork, get out of trouble, and get the Vikings to not take the sack, but they're still going to face a 3rd and 8 here in the second quarter of play.
And regardless of the incompletion, that's still a very smart play by Hoyer, throwing the ball where the defenders can't get it.
7:16 left on this play clock. The Vikings are up 15-7 as they continue to show this pistol formation out of the spread. So the running back in the backfield is Isaiah Turner now, the sophomore running back out of Pittsburgh High. Pittsburgh has all those great teams in the past. Hoyer gets the ball straight through the hands of Dylan Alves. He threw some real heat on that ball. Alves was just slightly out of bounds. Alves ran a dig route cutting to the outside, and Hoyer threw it to the inside, so maybe a little bit of a miscommunication. But regardless, that would probably not have been enough to get the first down anyways, and the Vikings will have to punt.
Yeah, scorcher of a throw by Hoyer there, and Alves, he had his hands on the ball, but it just seemed that it was coming too fast, and he couldn't get all the way around it.
So the returner is DeQuincy Mitchell, the wide receiver for the Golden Eagles. As Prom gets the ball, he fumbles it. He's going to run the ball now, trying to juke a defender, cutting back to his right. He's being pulled by an offensive lineman now. And the Vikings, that's almost as good as a turnover now, as a personal foul comes the way at the very end of the play, number 52. That's Dylan Hart, the defensive lineman, tosses Prom down to the ground. So it will still be the Feather River Golden Eagles ball, but the Vikings are going to get a little bit better of a starting field position on that play.
Yeah, and like you said, Max, this game is very chirpy. This team comes from far away, so you know that they were definitely looking forward to this matchup, and the tensions are building definitely outside on the field.
So, bad break by the hands of the fumble from Prom, but because of that 15-yard penalty, they won't start too far deep into their zone. They're going to start out from the 47-yard line now. Or the 47-yard line, as the Golden Eagles will start after this drive. Or start their drive coming up soon. First down goes to Feather River, but the Vikings still looking if they can make a big play, maybe cause another turnover on this drive.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want here. You want your defense to go out and make some stops and make some plays. You can't give the Golden Eagles another opportunity to scratch themselves closer and put some more points on the board.
So Ravine Nasale checks into this game for the defensive line. DVC, known as D-Line U for so long. We'll see if the defensive lineman can come up with a big play, as they they have a quarterback keeper now by the hands of Drummond as Drummond falls forward for a 4-yard gain. What you really got to see is you got to see these defensive linemen inside for the Vikings really just push the pile. And even if you can't make the play, chop that double team so it causes a pile and your linebackers can come up and make a play.
Exactly, especially for men of this size. All that you want to do is plug a hole and make sure that there's nowhere for the running back to go.
So they hand the ball this time to Patton. Patton is nowhere to go. So just as we start critiquing that interior defensive lineman play, it's almost like they heard us in the backfield here. Or they heard us here up from the booth. And they force a 3rd and long now, as it's 3rd and 6 from the 43-yard line. Ravine Nasale checks off the field now as the Vikings move to a 3-down lineman look. 3-down lineman. The safeties come out. They put a blitz on it and running out of time, but stepping up in the pocket, but he's still brought down. That was the defensive lineman, Algidon Falau, the defensive end coming off the edge. The safeties put the pressure, pushed the pocket up inside, and Drummond had nowhere to go on that play. Great stop from this defense of the Vikings.
Yeah, that's a great defensive effort right there. Keeping the ball close over to the midfield, not allowing the offense to get anywhere near their end zone.
So the good fortune goes the way of the Vikings as they'll force the punt by the way of the Golden Eagles. For the Golden Eagles, it's Jose Ariza coming out here to punt the ball. So the returner down deep for the Vikings is number 6, the running back, Isaiah Turner. The punt is up. There's going to be no return the ball. Another good bounce as this one rolls out of bounds at the 10-yard line. So the punts haven't been too booming for the Eagles so far today, but they've gotten some decent bounces.
Very decent bounces indeed. Yeah, a lot of these punts that Feather River especially is kicking today, the favor has gone in their direction, being able to pin the Vikings deep within their own 10-yard line.
So last time the Vikings were deep in their own end zone, they managed to move the ball out before fumbling it. They'll see if they can drive all the way down the field and get a 90-yard touchdown drive on this possession.
And you know that they're looking to repeat exactly what they were doing last series, except for turning the ball over.
So it's going to be Alexander in the backfield alongside Hoyer. They're really loving this pistol spread formation. They hand it off. Rushing out to the right is Alexander. Alexander absolutely lays the wood on the defender as he lowers the shoulder and falls forward for a 2-yard gain, but there's a penalty on the field. That's probably going to be a holding call. Yep, that's a holding call by the way of the Vikings. That's going to push them back into their own side of the field, so they're going in the direction that they do not want to go here.
Yeah, and this is a major no-no, especially when you're so close to your own end zone. You do not want to be giving up extra yards that the defense can take advantage of. Alexander doing a great job on that run, running tough, running rigid, but unfortunately there was a penalty.
So 1st and 15 from the 5-yard line. Alexander will see if he can maybe get a little more success on this play. Alexander alongside Hoyer, handed up, finds a little bit of a seam, but he's just tripped down. It was the arm of 97 on the play. That was Devin Cool. He just put his big arm out there, knocked the offensive man down for the Vikings.
And I'm not sure the man with the football for the Vikings knew that arm was right there. He looked a little surprised.
It's just almost like hitting a hurdle. He just tripped over that.
Exactly.
They're going to have to face 2nd and 14 now. Hoyer steps up. They're not in the pistol formation, but they're still coming out of the shotgun snap spread as they move Alexander out to the left side of Hoyer now. Hoyer gets the pass. They're blitzing this time, gets the ball off, and gets it out to Sahagan, and Sahagan tiptoes down the sideline and helps the Vikings get into a 3rd and manageable situation. It's 3rd and 1 from the 19-yard line.
Time and time again, it seems that Hoyer is able to find one of his receivers to undig themselves out of a hole.
And Sahagan has really been the featured receiver in this bout today. So they hand the ball off, coming out the left side, dives forward, knows he has to get the yardage. And that's Alexander. Alexander, he saw that he might have an opportunity to run up the sideline, but then as the defender closed in, he decided to just make this smart play, dive for it, get the first down yardage, and that's a very smart play from the freshman running back.
Very smart play indeed. That's all you need, especially on a third and short, is just get upfield, get those yards, and keep the chains moving. And that's a very relentless run by Alexander to help his team get the first down.
Isaiah Turner checks in as the Vikings are really loving the spread pistol formation. They got it once again. Hoyer tosses it out, and that goes off the face mask of McKenzie. McKenzie slipped on the play, still had an opportunity to make the catch, but unfortunately the sophomore out of Hercules just got a little too riled up after he slipped. So, 2nd and 10, the Vikings will face it as they go trips right now, so a little bit of a variance in the formation as Roman Sahagan is the lone receiver out left. Turner steps up, gets the ball up, cuts out to the left side, and he's really handled down. A great tackle on the play by defensive end Dejan Moore. Dejan Moore was blocked all the way into the very end, was able to extend off the side of the left tackle. That's Robin Verland for the Vikings. And he just made a terrific play.
Tremendous job coming in off the edge by Moore, and he absolutely manhandled the ball handler, able to wrestle him to the ground and make it a 3rd and long.
So 3rd and 12 with 2:36 left in the second quarter of play. And the Vikings are looking to try to convert once again on 3rd and long. 3-man rush as they pass it out, and that's number 11, Dylan Alves, gets the ball out, and he finds a way to manage, moves the chains, gets 14 on the play, and the Vikings will move forward and get those chains moving once again.
And that was a good job by Alves, able to turn his head around in time to get the pass, and once again, these Vikings are able to convert on a 3rd and long.
And Hoyer isn't necessarily putting the ball in the perfect situation, but these wide receivers are just doing a tremendous job making a play after the catch. They hand the ball off to Jackson this time. Jackson has nowhere to go as he runs head forward into the defensive lineman. That was number 93 on the play, Deshaun Hill. No gain on the play, and when you're a freshman, after you fumble the ball, that first handoff is always so scary. You're always really trying to hold on the ball, not fumble it again, and maybe think about not fumbling it. Just got him feeling a little too angsty as he just could not make a play. So they motion it this time, hand it off to Jackson once again. Jackson moving off the right side of the sideline. Moves right off the side of his offensive lineman, and he falls forward for a 4-yard gain.
Good job by the ball carrier of shedding his blocks all the way to the edge to the sideline to create as much space as he can from the defenders and pick up a solid 5-yard gain.
The only problem with running the ball at this point in the game is there's only a minute left on the clock, so the Vikings are definitely going to have to pass if they want to get an opportunity, and they go deep this time as Sahagan goes deep, cannot locate the ball. He breaks past the double coverage, but that ball was just thrown slightly behind him. So Sahagan had all the real estate in the world in front of him. He just couldn't get a handle on that pass.
Sahagan was gone. He had the defenders beat. He could not quite track the ball down, especially in the sun and way over his head. It seemed to be a little bit over his back shoulder. Unfortunate on there.
So the sun is setting. The shadows are starting to take the field. It's just shy of the large brand new DVC logo on this field. So, I mean, after playing on the old field, I'm glad that the Vikings have this new field because the old one's all torn up. Some money came in, the new logo, the new coloring, everything. It's looking like a great change up here. But there's going to be some miscommunication on the field as some flag hits the ground. So 51 seconds left on this clock as the Vikings will have to punt it off to the Golden Eagles with 3 timeouts still left in their pocket. So if Hoyer is able to really show off this arm in this play, they'll have plenty of time to get down the field and see if they can make a big play and a big drive for possibly a touchdown tying drive. The snap is up. It's handled this time. It's a high shank punt. Not great. It was blocked by it's blocked by number 12. That's Latavius Holiday, the running back who's typically a return man, gets the ball in for the second punt in a row. Prom could just not get out of trouble.
And you could tell that the punter definitely sensed the pressure there, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with the shank kicked off to the right.
So the punt was shanked off to the right because of a slight block, and the Vikings find themselves coming back onto the field from the 45-yard line. 46.7 left in this second quarter of play, but the Vikings are in a lot of trouble as the Golden Eagles still have those 3 timeouts in their pocket. Jalen Drummond alongside Patton. Pardon me, that's Ryan Albiani, there you go. Ryan Albiani, he checked into the game against Siskiyou. He is the throwing quarterback for this team. Drops back, looks deep, finds a man running down the seam. He's well covered, and a great defensive stop from the defender. That's the rover for the Diablo Valley Vikings, Isaiah Sahagan as well. So both Sahagan brothers making an impact on this game.
Definitive big impact on this game, and you can't ask anything more from your defenders other than running down with the receivers all the way down until the end of their routes and covering the ball to make sure that there's no possible way of catching it.
So
that was
a
great defensive effort.
It was a little bit of a precarious situation because he wasn't eyeing down the ball, but he still did not interfere, so that's some great coverage all the way down. So Albiani gets pressured this time, throws a screen. It's intercepted! Jalen Rosales working his way right, and he gets dropped down at the 30-yard line. So Jalen Rosales showing up like his older brother used to do a few years back here, and he intercepts the ball. So the Vikings will get it from the 32-yard line with 30-yard line with 32 seconds left on the play clock. 2 timeouts in their pocket, and the Vikings now get out of trouble, and they'll see if they can put 7 more points on the board for themselves.
What a play by the defense and Rosales, able to get the interception, and you knew once he had that pick he wanted to take it all the way to the house. Unfortunately, he was tackled, but he wanted to drive it like he stole it.
So Jalen Rosales, the sophomore out of Clayton Valley, the UC Davis bounce back. I was actually out there with him at UC Davis back when I was still playing football. I did some open workouts with him, so that was a good time. So I'm glad to see him back at my alma mater here at DVC, making some big plays, just like his older brother did back in the day.
Timeout on the field, 32.6.
Timeout on the field goes the way of the Golden Eagles, and we'll take a quick timeout as well. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College Football on the Watch DVC Sports. So the Vikings will work out now. Hoyer and Alexander, the backfed Hoyer, drops back pressured, throws it out to Sahagan. Sahagan makes a diving catch as he falls forward, and he gets 9 yards on the reception, so just short of the first down yardage. But the Vikings offense is looking great to start off this drive.
And that gets me fired up here, just sitting in the booth, seeing an athlete lay out for the ball like that. Sahagan making a great play, keeping this offensive drive going.
Yeah, so we have a very knowledgeable member in the booth right here as we get another timeout on the field. That goes the way of the Vikings now as they stop the clock with 28 seconds left. as 3 of the members of the production team actually played over here at De La Salle, so some champions alongside me over here.
Absolutely, yeah. We got Kevin Tucholsky working the camera, played left tackle and defensive end for the De La Salle Spartans, and also Logan Nones, who's our captain and our middle linebacker, and then there's me, Noah Williams, who played receiver and corner, all in the production unit for this broadcast.
Yeah, so even when you come off the field, you're still over here being a part of football. I mean, that's just the great thing about this sport. Even when you are done with your playing career, there's still so many ways to get involved and just have a great time on a Friday, Saturday. It doesn't matter what day of the week. Football is great every day of the week, and I'm just happy that the season is finally back.
Absolutely. I do not have a problem spending my Friday nights like this around football.
So the Vikings will line up out of the pistol formation. Now Alexander's in the backfield alongside Hoyer. He moves up to the right side. We'll see if he stays back to block because it's looking like there's going to be some pressure. Great block. He throws the ball as he's pressured. That's Hoyer. And man, Hunter Addison really showed that heart and determination. He was beat off the block, so Tyler Clemens had him beat, tossed down to the ground, but he crawls down, and Hoyer just isn't able to get the ball off in time as Addison shows off why he is such a tremendous talent.
And Hunter Addison was going for the throat, man. He wanted that hit on Hoyer. Unfortunately, he didn't get it, and Hoyer was able to throw it somewhere where the defense couldn't get it.
So incomplete pass. The play clock stops, and the Vikings are going to have to work 3rd and 1 from the 21-yard line, so knocking on the door right outside of the red zone as they're in the pistol formation. Hoyer drops back, tosses it deep, goes all the way out to the sideline, and it's almost caught. A great juggling performance between Dylan Alves and the coverage man. I believe that was the safety, Tyler Davis, on the play. So we'll see if the Vikings will go for it. It's 4th and 1. They still have a timeout. But unfortunately for the Vikings, it looks like there's going to be a face mask called on the play that's going to push them back and put them in a very awkward situation.
This isn't to say the Vikings have not come out of a 3rd and long before, but they keep putting themselves in a hole. This is a very precarious situation to be in, especially when you were so close to getting inside the red zone.
But fortunately for the Vikings, since the Golden Eagles did elect to take that penalty, it's still 3rd down. So they're not facing 3rd and 1. They're facing 3rd and 15 now. 17.2 left in the clock. So at this point, you just got to think, get a quick pass, get it into the middle of the field, and then try to get a manageable kick by the hand or by the leg of Prom. So Hoyer calls for the snap. Alexander moves out of the backfield. They throw it deep once again. This gun's going through the hands of Sahagan as they tried to go all the way down. The punting unit comes onto the field, so they elect to go for it all instead of getting some in the field goal attempt. But instead, the Vikings will have to punt it from just shy of the 35-yard line.
Me personally, I love that choice. I'm a risk taker. I like how the Vikings were going all out and trying to sell out and get some points out of it. It just didn't go their way that play, but I like the courage and the moxie from this offensive unit.
And the Vikings are actually going to go for it now, so they're continually showing moxie now. As I mean, if you've talked to Coach Shore once in your life, you know he's just one of those guys that will go out there and he'll just give life to you. He'll go out there, he'll give you a pep talk, he'll make you feel like you can do anything, and that seems like what he did on the sideline here as this offense comes out, and we'll see if they can do something special. 4th down, there's only 5 seconds left on the play clock, and a timeout is called the way of the Golden Eagles. So, 11.9 left in the second quarter of play. 15-7, the Vikings lead the Golden Eagles of Feather River. With that, we'll take a very short break and be back for the 4th down play. You're tuned into Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. So, 4th and long, 4th and 16 precisely from the 36-yard line. The Vikings are going to go for it with 11.9 left in the second quarter of play, as Hoyer will see what he can do. 4-man rush. Hoyer steps in the pocket, tosses it underneath to Sahagan. Sahagan has nowhere to go. So essentially what the Vikings were trying to do there is they were looking to see if they might get a shot down the field, but if not, I mean, you're not going to get very good punt coverage right there. He's been, for the punter, Prom for DVC has really botched it twice in a row. So this time around they said, hey, we're just going to go for it, see if we can make something happen. Nothing was there to happen. But the Vikings, with 5.3 seconds left on the clock, will probably come out to see a knee by the hands of this Feather River offense.
Not a bad decision by the Vikings. You know, like you said, the punter has shanked a couple of these, and so why not take a chance? Nothing to lose.
So the snap is off. That goes into the hands of Ryan Albiani. And that takes us to the half. The Vikings lead 15-7 at halftime here in Viking Stadium. So we got halftime coming up, 20 minutes on the clock, and we'll be back to bring you the third quarter of play. So stay tuned as the Vikings lead 15-7 here in the home opener for the DVC Vikings here. You are tuned in to Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. Less than a minute to go before this halftime intermission is over. DVC is leading 15-7 over the Golden Eagles of Feather River. And some score updates from the other events that are going on today on the DVC campus. So, for the women's soccer team won over West Valley College 2-1. And then in terms of volleyball, there's a tournament going on right now. DVC won their first match against Marin. That was 3-1, and right now they're trailing to Ohlone College 1-0. So, support all of your Viking athletics. And we got a ton of fun coming here as the semester has started. All the students are coming back onto campus, and football is alive and well here Friday night at Viking Stadium.
Nothing better than the Friday night lights, especially out here in front of a home crowd. You definitely know that the Vikings are enjoying their time at their home field and looking to capitalize on such an advantage by taking a W home after this game.
So they come into this game 0-1 after that horrific performance last week. They barely lost to West Hills Coalinga, but they turned the ball over 6 times. Tonight they only had 1 fumble so far. That was off the hands of, let's get this going right over here. It's off the hands of Ray Jackson as he fumbled at about the 40-yard line. But ever since then, they've been looking pretty good. They've gotten in some dangerous situations, but they haven't broke too often. Only the 1 rushing touchdown from Jalen Drummett. That's the only score from the Golden Eagles. But now as prom kicks off for the Vikings, it's a booming kick going all the way down to the goal line. He steps into his own goal, takes a knee, and they'll get it from the 25-yard line. So the Vikings got the football first to start off the game. They didn't do much with it, but their defense came up right away, got that huge stop on the very first play. They forced a turnover, went down, scored, made a trick play for a 2-point conversion. They went up 8-0, scored another 7 points, and then Jalen Drummett in the second quarter came in, rushed for a 7-yard touchdown by the legs of the quarterback. And now that brings us to where we are here. 14-58, third quarter action, second half beginning as the Vikings lead 15-7. Jalen Drummond at quarterback. He's joined alongside Patton in the backfield. They actually handed off to Jones, rather, the Thunder in the equation. Like we talked about in that first half of play, Patton is the Lightning and Jones is the Thunder. Patton, the smaller 5'10", 165, he's the scat back, and then Jaden Jones is really that guy that will absolutely decleat you.
And that's that double-headed dragon. That Thunder is definitely vicious.
So Drummond keeps it himself now on the read option, and he's taken all the way down by Pulu on the tackle. I actually saw Pulu grow up as a little kid. I played football over at Berkeley High. He was always a little scrapper, pretty small, but now he's grown up, standing 6'1", 226, and he's definitely one of the leaders of this Vikings defense.
And you got to think, if you're the Feather River College Golden Eagles, you got to think to yourself, what adjustments can we make on offense to make it more efficient, score some more points here in the second half?
They were very efficient. They moved the ball well. They just couldn't get it in the end zone as Jaden Jones takes the handoff off tackle.
Here's another flag.
And another flag flies into the field, as Noah said.
So the flag's very prevalent here tonight. We have seen quite a few penalties, both on the offensive and defensive side.
And that's going to be a 15-yard penalty on the Vikings, so that's going to start Feather River on their opening drive of this half off to a very nice start. They're going to take it from the 41-yard line as the center, Hunter Nobbs, takes his hands, grabs the tip of the ball, and he's ready to snap it out to Drummond. Drummond alongside Jones, fakes the handoff, rolls out to his right, looking to pass it, doesn't take it himself, and he's sacked down by 3 DVC Viking defenders. Cyrus Duckett was the one that I saw getting in there first, joined alongside Raven Nasale.
And the quarterback, Dummett, trying to break away free from the defensive rush there, but to no avail as he gets sent in a whirling of a tackle, kind of like a helicopter.
That's a great way to put it, kind of like a helicopter. He got lifted up, he got spun in the air, and the Vikings defense comes up with their second sack of the night. They line up in the pistol now, they as Feather River, of course, as Drummond looks to the sideline, as the sun sets on Vikings Stadium. The shadows are running long, the play clock is running out, and the head coach for the Golden Eagles saw that. The head coach is Nick Goulet in his very first year with the Feather River Golden Eagles. Prior to that, he was over with Chabot College, where he had a very successful career. Chabot College was one of the premier programs in college football for so long. But now he's with the Eagles, and so far in his tenure, he's 1-0, has that blowout win over the College of the Sequoias, and now he's trying to pull out another win on the road here in Vikings Stadium.
Definitely off to the right start, switching colleges, different team, different atmosphere, different people and different things to get used to, but I think that he's doing a great job ingratiating himself into the offensive and defensive systems and how they operate. And let's see if he can get some more momentum going in this game.
So they have a full timeout on the field. We're keeping it here for that. And so this DVC Vikings defense, they've given up some good chunks of yardage, but at the same time, they've gone out here and they haven't broken. The only time they broke was with that one touchdown run, but they've been in some really tough situations, getting all the way down to the 1 yard line before stopping Feather River, not letting them in the end zone. And, I mean, as the Vikings get it, it's dropped off the hands of Demario Pertilio. But like I was saying before, what do the Vikings have to do to make it so they don't put themselves in that hard situation? What do they have to do to change it up to not give up those big chunks of yardage?
Well, you know, the old saying goes a long way, bend but don't break, and I think that's what the Vikings defense is doing a great job of here. They have gotten put in their own red zone, but they're doing a great job of not breaking and continuing to keep the points at a minimal.
As they get it off in the pistol now for Drummond. Drummond tries to get that hard snap. Jamel Rosales almost jumps off sides, but there's 10 seconds left on the play clock. They reset, so Drummond is having to be very aware of the play clock as it's running down. 4, 3, 2, 1, gets it off with 1 second left, scanning to his left, rolls out to his left. He's going to run it himself, has a ton of real estate, finds a seam, diving down all the way down for a very long convergence on 3rd and 15. Drummond uses his legs and falls down at the 25-yard line.
Jalen Drummond putting on the Sonic the Hedgehog boosters, especially when he broke out into that left side, gets a huge chunk of yards on that play.
Drummond gets the ball once again, and they keep it quarterback keeper this time, and rush down for the backside. That's Jake Peralta on the safety blitz, and Jake Peralta comes in and gets DVC's 3rd sack of the night.
Trying to create open space, but there was nowhere to go for the quarterback there, and Jake Peralta with a great defensive play.
So Peralta blitzed a lot last week. He's got some great tackles for loss in that loss against West Hills Coalinga, and now he shows that he still has that ability to roam in the backfield and make some big plays for this Vikings defense. Motion man comes the way. Jet sweep, but then they hand it off the middle. That is Jaden Jones, and Jaden Jones bumbling, tumbling, and then falling down at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, Jalen Jones, you can tell this whole game he has been determined just off of his mindset and his body language. Every time that he touches the football, especially on the handoffs, he is looking to run through another human being and throw caution to the wind to get his team some yards on the ground.
Whenever they motion that wide receiver, it's typically the 5'9", 185 freshman out of Salina, Texas, Jimmy Allen. But they haven't given it off on that jet sweep a single time yet. So if they don't do that, then the Vikings might just stop even paying attention to that. And as the handoff goes the way of Jones, it's absolutely blown up in the backfield. And as number 26, Isaiah Sahagan, comes in and lays the lumber.
Absolutely, he's laying the lumber like a cabin in the woods, like my grandpa used to say. He's dropping a ton of bricks on the house. That was a phenomenal hit by Sahagan.
So both Sahagan brothers coming up here making some big plays. Sahagan had that big stop on 3rd and long as he did a great job in coverage, and now this time around, filling the gap, coming up from his rover position, and like you said, laying the lumber. So Allen comes off. They do not hand it off to him. They look deep, and it's looking like it's going deep. up and contested. That goes the way of Jake Peralta. Both of them were making a play for the call, so there's no pass interference, and the Vikings are going to get a change of possession.
Absolutely, Max. Hands up, ball down. As long as you can get yourself in a great position on that defensive coverage, you know that it is very likely that you can get a disruption on a pass, and he did a great job of that, the defender did.
15-7, the Vikings get away with another one. Like you said, bend but don't break. They have not broken except for that one time with that rushing touchdown of Jalen Drummond. But this defense has been looking very nice as the Vikings come out in a two-back formation. Both the running backs in the backfield. Alexander gets it as he rushes off the right side of the line. They do old school student body right, pulling both the guards, and they move it down to the 34-yard line. But like I was saying before, they had Alexander and Turner. They didn't really use that formation at all ever since that very first drive. And now I guess they're mixing up the playbook a little bit more from what they were doing before, which was basically just a spread pistol.
Great utilization of the playmakers that the Vikings have.
Alexander and Turner in the backfield alongside Hoyer. Twins out to his left as they send Isaiah Turner out to the left. They throw a slant out to Justin Ross, and Justin Ross cuts into the middle of the field and is tackled down after about a 8-yard gain as he's thrown down on the C of the DVC Viking logo.
And that was a great catch, open right in the middle with space, room to go. He makes a few cuts to get some extra yards and pick up the first down. That's a great offensive play.
First and down from the 34-yard line as the Vikings offense is starting to find the groove. They go right back to that spread pistol formation with Alexander in the backfield, and they hand it off up the middle. Alexander finds a seam, and he's tackled down there after a 2-yard gain. He passed through so many defenders on that play. I thought he got a huge chunk of yardage, but it turns out he only got 2.
He was definitely running hard. He saw some daylight. He tried to break free, but he hit some guys that looked like he was prepared to gain a lot of yards on that run, but he fell victim to a couple of the offensive and defensive linemen running in. There's some big bodies in that traffic.
Yeah, so the draw has definitely been one of the plays that the Vikings have loved to run today, and you see it with the defensive linemen of Feather River. They rushed all the way up the field, but their linebackers, they just did a great job keying in, reading the run at the very last second. So they hand the jet sweep off to 25. That's McKenzie, and McKenzie has nowhere to go. The left side of that defense just swarmed McKenzie, and McKenzie would be knocked down for a 2-yard loss.
Yeah, and that was a great defensive play. They swarmed him like some killer bees, and they wrapped it all up nice and like a blanket, like a baby getting ready to go to bed.
You went from Wu-Tang to a baby going to bed.
Absolutely, yep.
I like it. They go out of this pistol formation, bunch left on the left side, 3 receivers out there, and Alexander is the back aside Hoyer. Lift his leg. Hoyer motions Alexander out to his right, and he stays in the block. Hoyer stepping up in the pocket, sheds a block, throws it low, and his receiver, that was number 83 for the Vikings, Jacob Sprung. He was unable to get the ball. And now for the Vikings, a player is on the floor. That's Demario Williams. Demario Williams is the right guard from Concord, California. He's a big boy, 6'5", 328 sophomore. But he's on the field, and he's hurting right now as Wendy comes out to tend to him on the field. And with that, we're going to take a break. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. So aided by one of the doctors that comes out to this game right over here, DeMario Williams walks his way off the field. And Drew Sullivan is the backup right guard here, but Sully isn't quite in this game, so we'll try to get a number on the field for, or it's actually going to be a punt, so we're going to have to wait and see who the offensive guard coming back up here is going to be for the next drive. So Prom gets the punt up. It's a high booming punt, but it doesn't go too far. Bounces back, bounces forward, and it will be down at the 26-yard line. So the Vikings, when they have to punt, they're just glad Prom got this one off.
It has been a story of the Vikings not being able to quite separate themselves enough to call it a comfortable lead. They keep having to give the ball back to the Golden Eagles offense, and we'll see if Feather River can get something going here for the first time in the second half.
They're not making us, or they're not separating this lead at all, but when your strength of your team is in your defense, you're in a comfortable position. As long as you have any sort of a type of a lead, you are in the driver's position, and with the defense like this, I mean, they're breathing easy right now. Drummond lines up, fakes the jet sweep, hands it off this time to Pan. Pan gets stuck up in the backfield as Cyrus Duckett was right there for the Vikings to stuff it. That's alongside Pulu.
The running back wanted some space, but that hole got stuffed quicker than a holiday turkey, and there was nowhere to go for that running back on that play.
And now the lineup again, 2nd and 10 from the 27-yard line with 7:16 left on the play clock. Passes this time, looking out to his left, passes way too high. And number 21, Eric Daniels, was the intended receiver, but I mean, every single time Jalen Drummond has tried to pass, it's just been over the top, inaccurate. He is a running quarterback through and through, and he definitely looks uncomfortable when they put him back in a passing set.
And you could tell Jalen Drummond definitely wanted to throw the ball to him on that play. He has had trouble this game overthrowing his receivers.
So they line up in the shotgun snap, and Drummond is going to take the pass. Shows off that athleticism. Seeks through the defense of this DVC defense, and he goes out of bounds at the 31-yard line. So like we were saying, he was looking to pass, but he's such a terrific athlete, showing off those legs, showing that change of speed, and he rips the Vikings for a huge gain.
I've got goosebumps, Max, just watching this incredible athlete zoom up and down the field, carrying the football, almost carrying the offense on his back, per se.
So they hand the ball off this time to Patton. Patton gets stuffed in the middle. So the Vikings have really been selling off in the middle. Every single time they try to hand it off either to Patton or to Jones, it's being stuffed. But when Drummond decides to take it on that read option, he's just ripping the defense apart. So the Vikings really need to do a better job with their defensive ends and linebackers coming up playing the edge to use that outside contain.
Absolutely.
Full backfield as they send another receiver, that's Jalen Allen, in for a jet sweep motion, and this time Jalen Drummond takes it once again. He's stripped from behind. The Vikings are pointing like they got it. We're waiting for the official call as there's a pile on the field.
Jalen Drummond had a cut more sharper than fine cutlery, but it doesn't matter because it is now the Vikings football. Another clutch turnover for the Vikings defense.
So Drummond fumbles it once again, it's the second fumble of the game for the Golden Eagles. And the Vikings have come out here, and once again they bent on that huge chunk yardage for Drummond, but they did not break in the last moment. The Vikings showed their craftiness going out there and forcing another turnover. The right guard, DeMario Williams, is back into this game, so good to see the big man back into the game after needing some help walking off the field after that last offensive drive. Hoyer's in the backfield. Alongside him is Alexander. Trips to his left. Hoyer has tons of time to throw, tosses it out, and it goes straight into the hands of Dylan Alves. Alves dives down, and he will help move the chains after a 14-yard reception.
And that was a great throw by Hoyer, putting it right in that breadbasket, and that's exactly what the receiver wants, an easy catch, being able to just receive it all the way into the body, and all around, that's just a great play both by the receiver and the quarterback. It's good communication.
Ray Jackson in the backfield with Hoyer now. as Hoyer had some pressure on him at the very end of that play, but his internal clock as a quarterback helped him get the ball off for that positive gain. Hoyer this time tosses out. That's to Sahagan. Sahagan gets tackled down by the ankles, but he rips forward for his 16-yard gain, and the Vikings will get a 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line.
And the play started, and when the cornerback starts to back up, the receiving yards start to rack up. And you know exactly what time it is when it's down and Hoyer gets open, gets some receivers into open coverage. You know he's going to hit him.
Yep, he's going to hit Sahagan. Sahagan has been the featured wide receiver in this game today. He seemed to be the guy that they went to every single time they needed a big play. Bunch formation out to the right as Hoyer lines up in the pistol alongside Jackson. Steps up, decides to take it himself, working out to the sideline, doesn't change hands with the ball, so you got to worry about him fumbling, but he gets out of bounds after a big hit. 6-yard gain, but he gets up like there's nothing happening to him. Hoyer's a big quarterback standing at 6'5", 224, and he can take a hit there.
Hoyer can take a hit. That was a tough run. You don't see Hoyer running the ball a lot because he is primarily a pocket passer. Seeing Hoyer run the football would be like seeing Michael Jordan without hoop earrings in. It just doesn't really happen.
That's only the 2nd time this game that Hoyer's carried the ball, but it's been effective. Every single time he's gotten it, the coverage has been very good downfield, and Hoyer's he made the right play. 2nd and 4, they motion McKenzie out to the right. They toss out to McKenzie, and that was a bad pass, fumbling out of bounds. And that's going to be a fumble since that was a lateral. So unfortunately for the Vikings there, the offense was rolling so well, but it's going to be a fumble down, and it's going to be 3rd and 12 from that lateral pass.
Well, the Vikings were rolling like a steam engine, but unfortunately that mess-up will set them back, and some momentum you have to think has to be lost now because they are facing, once again, another 3rd and long.
Man, talking about a tall quarterback throwing out into the flats like that, I felt like I was watching Osweiler back at Arizona State, but unfortunately Hoyer couldn't do his Osweiler impression on that play. 3rd and long, Hoyer gets pressured, throws it off the back foot, but he gets Sahagan streaking down the field. Sahagan ran the post, adjusted to the ball, and the Vikings get out of the trouble as they get into the red zone, flat out at the 20-yard line.
A great job by the receiver coming in off that post, coming in and just laying out, diving for the ball, making a great catch. And now the Vikings are set up, converting once again on a 3rd down conversion, and now the Vikings are in charge, close to Feather River's end zone, red zone, I should say.
So Hoyer has a rocket for an arm, and you saw it there. He was falling back on his back foot with pressure coming into his face, but he still managed to thread the needle to Sahagan. Now they line up in the shotgun, looking out to his left, tossing it out to number 9. That's Justin Ross, and Justin Ross is buried down by the cornerback coming up. That's Nathanius Jones coming up and laying wood.
Oh my.
As the production team shows it off, that was a huge hit.
That's something like a spine buster, Max. Coming in like Dave Bautista spine buster. That is just gnarly. That is sick, and it is twisted, but that is football, and I wouldn't have it any other way. What a great tackle.
And that was a clean tackle as well. There's a bunch of people going out here saying football's not a safe sport. They're changing the rules to try to make it safer, but right there, that's a clean legal hit and a big one we love to see. Hoyer tosses it out to the right side, finds a man wide open, diving into the end zone is Dylan Alves, and the Vikings have driven down the field and scored another touchdown. 21-7, the Vikings lead with 2:41 left in this 3rd quarter of play.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what you need coming off a big defensive stop. The offense comes in, drives all the way down the field, and makes a couple huge plays to get into the end zone, and that's exactly what you need up by 1 score.
Dylan Alves making a huge, terrific play, showing that extra effort, getting into the end zone. And now we'll see if Prom coming out here to kick will be able to dot the I.
This might be a 2-point conversion.
Snap is up.
The
Kick is up. And that's a booming kick going deep. But another flag hits the field. So the chippy nature of this game continues all the way through. So number 39 was laying on the field afterwards. That was Prom once again. And it's looking like it might be a personal foul going the way of the Golden Eagles once again. But before that, we'll take a break as we wait for the next kickoff. The Vikings lead 22-7 with 2:41 left in the third quarter. You're tuned in to Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. Back here at Viking Stadium, 22-7, the DVC Vikings lead the Golden Eagles of Feather River with 2:41 left in this third quarter of play. So Prom has not done a great job punting today, but the kicking game has been set. It didn't matter if he had to kick it off from the 15-yard line. He made some prominent plays. So the leg is good on Prom, and we'll see if he can boot it into the end zone once again.
And his leg has been solid, Max. Solid as a rock.
The kickoff team lines up on the 30-yard line as Prom goes in here, kicks a booming punt end over end, going all the way down to the 6-yard line, and it's caught by number 12, John Harper. Harper finds a seam, goes all the way down, and Mickey Elroy comes up for the tackle.
And that's always exciting, the kick returner able to just undeniably turn on the Jets.
Yeah, back when I was playing over here, Jake Villa was one of our return men, and man, he had some power behind him. He's a small running back in his figure, but man, he could really return that ball, and every single time he got tackled, I think the whole entire season, I only saw him get tackled for a loss once. He always fell forward.
And that's something that physicality can't determine. It's just the heart of the player.
Exactly. So they hand it off this time. Nope, it's a quarterback keeper by Drummett. Drummett working his way up to the quarter, shows off that speed, and he's angled out of bounds after about a 7-yard gain. But there's a flag in the backfield, so it's looking like it's going to be a hold on the Feather River Eagles. I believe that's Isaiah Ahana on the hold. So holding offense, that ball's going to go back. And like I said before, the Vikings doing a great job doing everything. They just can't contain the edge right now. Drummett is just such a tremendous athlete, finding that edge, and he's just working out there and showing off that speed.
He's doing a fantastic job of getting to the edge, like you said, and the defense is having a hard time matching their speed, even with their skilled positions. Maybe the defense just isn't about that action when it comes to Jalen Drummett.
It's about that edge discipline, though. And now Coach Hall, Coach Dar, and all the defensive coaches down there, they're going to set the tone in the next game with that defensive pressure. So coming off the outside once again, that's Jaden Jones. Jaden Jones this time falls forward for a 4-yard gain, but the defense stepped up right over there.
That's a hard
DJ
run.
Mutchinson comes up for the tackle.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a hard run. The defense came up very well, laying the smack down, as The Rock would say, and bringing fire with fire.
So DJ Mutchinson has been a long-time tenured player for the Vikings. Medical red shirt, gray shirt, doing all of that. I believe he's in his 4th or 5th year with the Vikings here now, as he was a freshman with me when I came into this Vikings program. They pass it now with Drummond. Drummond goes deep, turns to his left, but that one was a not-intended back shoulder fade as the great coverage coming along the side of the cornerback from Benicia, Matthew Larks, stays true.
Yeah, and in a way, you could tell that Drummond didn't want to throw it over that back shoulder, but also there might not have been another place that it could have went. It's because that was great coverage by the defender.
Yeah, definitely. I think more so than anything, Drummond he struggles with the accuracy. He has a rocket for an arm. We've seen that, but he just can't get it quite in the place where he wants to get it most of the time. Pressure coming off the edge, offsides as the smackdown goes the way. It's intercepted by Ryan Payne. Ryan Payne working out the right side of the field, gets a little bit of a seam. He's going to fall down at the 35-yard line, but that one's coming back as the ill-timed blitz for the Vikings will bring this one back.
And really, if you think about it, the reason that the defender got that interception was from perhaps Drummett thinking that it was a free play opportunity, maybe seeing that flag come down on the field before the ball left his hands, trying to take a chance downfield.
Anytime Ryan Payne touches the ball, though, we talked about him, comes in with the LSU offer and a bunch of other offers. But, man, he's just a terrific athlete. It's awesome to see him run. And you see him right up there. Even though he knew that pass was coming back, he took it as like, hey, this one can still go on my highlight tape.
Absolutely. You always got to show it for the highlight tape. You never know who's watching.
Exactly. LSU's watching, of course. Maybe Alabama's the next offer to come in. He's one of those big-time players for sure.
If you have a chance to be great and you have a chance to show that you can ball, why not?
Okie lineup for the Vikings now as they go with 3 down receivers. The screen goes the way of Jaden Jones, but it's sniffed out all the way. The nickel corner, Josh Ramirez, sniffed that one out. And the Feather River offense is lucky that one wasn't another interception.
Ramirez coming up hard and lifting him off of his feet and saying, you're not going anywhere, fella. You sit down right here, and now it's going to be 4th and long.
And that's a big boy falling on top of you, 6'1", 225. That's a lot of man falling down on the tackler, who's Josh Ramirez is only 5'10", 184, but he took care of business, and he's forcing a punt out of this Feather River offense. 27 seconds left in this third quarter of play, 5 seconds left on the play clock. We'll see if they can get the punt off. Snap is off. The kick is up. It's a low spiraling punt. It's going to be bounced down at the 25-yard line, picked up by the return man. That's Josh Ramirez, the guy who actually just got the tackle on the play.
And here's another flag down here on the field. Not sure if I saw what it was for.
And man, it just seems like a flag is flying down every single moment that any play ends. Penalty flag is on the field. The referees are pointing one way, the Vikings are pointing the other way. And it's likely going to be a holding on the Vikings. We'll wait for the official call from the referee. And it's going to be a block in the back from the Vikings, so that's going to move them back a big chunkage of yardage. So they are on the 18-yard line, if I'm not mistaken now. Nope, they're going to move back even further than that. That's a big-time penalty. That's going to go down to the 14-yard line. 13-yard line. Third time's the charm. 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line as the Vikings offense comes out in that pistol formation that's been going so well for them all game long. The running back in the backfield alongside Hoyer is Ray Jackson. Working out of that pistol, pass, looking deep, throwing the seam, and it's out of the hands of the receiver. Dylan Alves caught it, and it just hit his bicep, and I guess too much arm days. It bounced off the bicep, and it's an incomplete pass for the Vikings.
Didn't look the ball all the way in. There is another flag on the field.
And I don't see the flag on the field. I guess the referee picked it up, but we'll see if that goes against the Vikings or if that goes against Feather River. There's just been a plethora of dirty laundry on this field tonight. And it's going to be another penalty on the Vikings.
Seems to have been a holding
They're walking
call.
their way back, and that's a holding call. It's going to be 1st down once again, but it's 1st and 15 from the 7-yard line.
Another spread formation.
Trips right spread formation with Jackson in the backfield alongside Hoyer. Hoyer wipes his hands off on the towel alongside his left hip, and he calls for the snap. Pass, has a lot of pressure. He has to throw the ball away, so there's no safety. He gets knocked down the backfield. We'll see if they get a roughing the passer. No roughing the passer on the play, but there is also no intentional grounding. So the Vikings will face 2nd and 15 from their own 7-yard line.
And that's going to be a tough one. This is definitely another hole that the Vikings have dug themselves into. But they're going to keep going back. They're going to keep going back to the spread. You know, the Vikings are running the spread more than a bread knife with Nutella. That's their bread and butter, and they like it, and they're going to keep going with it. And they're going to trust in their process and their system and hope that they can pick up the yards that they need to.
And Dalen Hart was the rushing defensive lineman on that last play, getting Hoyer to throw that ball away in non-advantageous position. Hoyer tosses the screen this time. It goes out to Jackson. Jackson worked off the left sideline, has some real estate, cuts back inside, runs over defender, gets stood up, and he's taken down at the 20-yard line. The quarterback came up to make the play. That's Keanu Kelly for the Golden Eagles of Feather River. And the third quarter comes to a close as the Vikings work to see if they can convert the third down at the beginning of this fourth quarter. At the end of 3, 22-7, the Vikings lead in their home opener over the Golden Eagles of Feather River. We'll be back. You are listening, or you're tuned into rather, to the Watch DVC Sports. The Vikings will face a 3rd and 2 as they come back for the beginning of the fourth quarter of play. They lead 22-7 as they try to convert the first down from the 21-yard line. And line up in that shotgun snap, looking out to his left, tosses it out to the man in the backfield. That's Jackson. Jackson working down the sideline, showing that track speed. Jukes defenders, working towards the middle of the field, cuts back inside, makes another defender miss before he's taken down at the 31-yard line. And the road runner is running today, working down the sideline, cutting back inside, and a huge gain for the Vikings.
What a play for the Vikings. He meeped off that field like the Roadrunner, and he was gone. Nobody was catching him. What a spin move on the sideline. He put him in the cycler like a spoon in the dryer. It was absolutely nasty, and it was great to watch. What a play by the Vikings offense.
And the Vikings offense is not slowing down one bit as they go out of that spread formation with the pistol back. That's Turner in. As they hand it off, Turner gets blown up, but he still falls forward for a 1-yard gain. The number 50 coming off the defensive end, that's Hunter Addison, came up, blew up the play, but the Vikings were still able to get about half a positive yard on that play.
Yeah, you could tell he was trying to fall forward on that run, gain some yards. Unfortunately, he got blasted from the back like Ricky.
Oh, man. Coming in with these references left and right, I can't handle it, man. They're too good. The Vikings line up now as Turner steps up to the right side of Hoyer. Hoyer steps up in the pocket, tosses it out deep, and that goes off the hands, and it's held in by Roman Sahagan. Sahagan caught that. He almost dropped it, but almost showing the will of his strength right over there. He seemed to catch that one, carried in, and Sahagan has come up with another big play for the Vikings.
Winnie the Pooh seems to be at Diablo Valley College because there seemed to be some honey on his gloves on that play. What a great snag.
Man, talking about some stickum, we might actually see as he might get suspended for next game after the league sees those hands right over there. Motion from the slot receiver, that's McKenzie moving out the right side, they hand it off. Turner has a seam, cuts out to his left, and that's a tug for Turner. The Vikings march down the field in an emphatic measure, and they cap it off with the touchdown run. 18 yards for Turner, and the Vikings get on the board once again.
And they capped it off all right, Max. They capped it off. That was a great finish to it. Just an absolutely phenomenal offensive series and a great offensive drive.
And man, this Vikings offense is, I mean, the defense is doing a great job, but this Vikings offense is coming out here, and they're absolutely just having fun.
They have hit a second win for sure, especially since the start of this fourth quarter. And basically, they're just saying, come here, and they won it all.
So this Feather River team is a team that only gave up 6 points against the College of the Sequoias, and they've given up 28 pending this extra point, 29. as the kick is up. It's a deep kick. All that leg not needed, as that was a PAT, and the Vikings lead 29-7 over this Feather River defense that looked so great last week, but this Vikings offense is showing that they are the dominating force in this game. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. We're back here in Vikings Stadium as the Vikings lead 21-7 with 13:04 left in this game. 3 quarters done, 3 quarters and 2 minutes done, as the Vikings will look to kick it off with Prom's magnificent leg. The deep men for Feather River right now are the same two that's been back there the whole entire time. The 2 running backs for the Golden Eagles. High booming kick will be fielded at the 5-yard line by Holiday. Holiday cutting up to the right side, gets a little bit of a seam, cutting out to the sideline now. He works his way down, and he's finally tackled down after a 44-yard, or not 44-yard, but a 39-yard return from Holiday. So the coverage team for the Vikings has not been doing their job today.
Yeah, you're right. They have been struggling today, but you can't take any credit away from the return team on that play, especially Holiday running through. I mean, his chops were quicker than Jesse Owens on some hot coals. I mean, he was going fast, and he was definitely trying to go all the way on that play.
So Holiday has not gotten many carries, if not a single carry today, but in the return game, he's been an absolute threat. So the new quarterback comes into this game as Albiani comes in. He's the passing quarterback for this Feather River offense. Looking out to his right, he steps up. He's looking to run, shovel pass up the middle, just avoiding the sack as Albiani is taken down by the pressure of this tenacious Vikings defense.
You can't say enough about the Vikings defense today. It's the 4th quarter, and we're still talking about the effort and the resilience that they're showing. Feather River College has only scored 7 points in this entire game, and you can credit almost all of that to the stagnancy of the Vikings defense.
So with Albiani in this game, you don't have to worry about much of a running threat from the quarterback position. So you just have to play discipline on the run game and really sell out for the pass and play to the strength of this Vikings defense, which is their cornerback group. So pressure comes alongside, toss out, and a diving catch is made by Eric Daniels. Daniels dives down
low,
and he makes it a 3rd and 2 for this Golden Eagles offense. And the big boy in the middle gets caught up there. That's Christopher Strotter getting in the face of an offensive lineman. I mean, Strotter is just a big hunk of man out there as he's 6'6", 409.
That is a massive, just massive individual. And if I was down there on the line, I would not want to get a scuffle with a bad boy like that. These are grown men, and they're here to make some contact and make some plays.
So it's looking like it's going to be a personal foul on Feather River, or offsetting fouls rather, as they keep the ball here. Has it 2nd and 3 from the 46-yard line. But yeah, you got to have some real cojones on you if you're an offensive lineman for Feather River coming up against a guy who's 400 pounds.
400 pounds is a lot of weight. Also seems that the penalty was from some kind of sideline interference.
So it's 3rd and 3 as Albiani sets up in the backfield. You'd like Drummond in the situation so he can run the ball, but we'll see what Albiani is able to do with his hands.
Seems to have been a false start maybe on the offensive side.
They blew it down, so it has to be a false start. So there you go. Christopher Strotter might have gotten the heads of this offensive lineman. They were thinking about that big guy getting in their face, and now they're over here jumping off sides, and they go from a 3rd and 2 to a 3rd and 7.
Just a little too eager when they're coming off the ball. I know that there was some tension there on that play on a 3rd and short. Weight of the game hangs in the balance, but you got to remain confident and patient within yourself.
The Vikings almost jump outside. They get a foul called out here, and they throw it deep out to the side, and it's caught down the sideline by Torin Owalabi.
Smacked it deep on the sideline, and that's what you call a catch. Somebody stole Thor's hammer.
Showing the footwork as well to get a foot in bounds over there. The sophomore wide receiver from Las Vegas, Nevada. So they'll definitely will deny that penalty, or will deny that offsides penalty from Diablo Valley College, as the Eagles offense is starting to really find its groove with Albiani underneath the wheel, or behind the wheel rather. Albiani in the backfield alongside Patton, passing back, gets pressure, maybe they're dreading a screen, and nope, it's just a toss out of bounds. So 3 Vikings defenders came into the face of Albiani. I thought they were running a screen, but it looks like the Vikings defenders just beat the offensive lineman outright.
Absolutely, yeah, they definitely overpowered him there. Seems that they might have known what was going on in the play there too, so there might have been some miscommunication on the offensive side. But again, a great play on the defensive side by the Vikings, able to cause some miscommunication there.
2nd and 10, Albiani alongside Patton, lining up in that pistol formation as they line up twins to the left and right, spread formation, that's what we call it. Some checks on the line by Albiani as they stagger. The slots come up and the wide receivers come back. They test it deep into the hands of the receiver, and DeQuincy Mitchell comes up and he gets a touchdown for his Golden Eagles offense.
You know, I heard that his teammates like to call Mitchell mayonnaise because his jersey is white and he's dangerous when he's left open, and that is exactly why they just added 6 points.
Oh man, you're getting one of the best calls of the season from this man over to my right. No, it's just, he's handling it, he's doing well. Color runs through his blood right over here. Noah Williams, everybody.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Max.
The kick is up and the extra kick is good, as the PAT puts it to 14 points for the Golden Eagles. But the Vikings are still up 29-14, 11:42 left in this game, as the 4th quarter and night has finally dawned upon us. The sun is still out a little bit, but the Vikings are still feeling good.
And it seems as though they're trying to move along the game quite fast here. You see River Valley already setting up their kickoff as soon as the ball is kicked through the uprights, and they're trying to move along with this game. They're trying to get the ball back as quick as they can. You know, they only have 11 minutes. They're down by 2 scores, and they're just trying to get things going here.
It's kind of wild to think this game, it's been 2 hours and 30 minutes since kickoff, but with all the flags on the field, you think this is a very long game. But I mean, shout out to these junior college officials doing a great job keeping the flow of the game rolling and getting everybody out here happy.
Yeah, all that they're really focused on is doing a good job at their jobs, and I think that they're doing a phenomenal job keeping the game rolling, like you said.
So the deep men for the Vikings right now are Isaiah Turner and Matthew Larks, as the kicker for Feather River is Leo Vargas. Leo Vargas kicks a booming kick all the way down to the 5-yard line, and that's fielded by DeQuincy Mitchell, rather. DeQuincy Mitchell finds his way out to the left side of the field, and he's knocked out of bounds for a pretty decent game.
Decent for what he had. Didn't have a lot of open blocks down the field, but he did use his speed to his advantage to get to the sideline, pick up as many yards as he could.
Yeah, just doing everything they could. I mean, one of the things that really messed up DVC last game, why they turned the ball over so much, is that they were just, I mean, it's weird to say, but they were just trying too hard. They tried to make the play that wasn't there instead of just taking what there was. A lot of fumbles came away from that, and now this time around, they're trying to be more disciplined, and they're going to see if this offense can roll down the field once again. So Hoyer comes in the backfield alongside Alexander. Alexander gets the ball handed off tackle on the left side, and he goes forward for a gain of 3.
And at this point, you know exactly what the DVC Vikings are going for. They're ahead by 2 scores. The 4th quarter is already underway. They're trying to drain as much clock as much as they can while they still have the ball in their possession and still try to get some points on the board. And that run is a good way to start it off.
2nd and 7, spread pistol formation for the Vikings once again. Alexander has been the feature back for this offense so far, but they have rotated Turner and Jackson into this equation. They show a blitz off the left side. They still hand out to Alexander. Alexander still finds a little bit of a hole, and he will fall forward for another gain of 3 yards as he gets down to the 30-yard line. But another penalty flag is thrown on the field, and it's looking like it's likely going to be a holding call on the Vikings.
A lot of flags.
We'll wait for the official to say it. It is holding on the Vikings. One of the offensive linemen off the left side of the field. It's either Vanderland or Chris Levick.
I think I've seen the referees throw their flags more than the quarterbacks have thrown the football.
Definitely, but somehow the pace of the game is still rolling. So despite all the calls on the field,
can't complain.
Yeah, you can't complain. Usually when you have all these flags, they have to deliberate, they have to talk about it, but these referees, they're stern with their choice right after they throw the flag. There's no reason to talk about it. It happened on the field. I saw it for myself, and I'm going to keep the game flowing. So Turner comes in the backfield as Hoyer tosses it out to the left side to Turner now. Turner ran a 5-yard out of the backfield. Actually, that's Justin Ross who ran the out route. The freshman out of Bishop O'Dowd, he does well to even get the ball close to the original line of scrimmage. And the Vikings are still going to face a 3rd and long. That went from a 2nd and 17 to a 3rd and 12. But one thing good that happened out of that play is the clock is still running.
The clock is still running. Despite the great tackle from Jones, he came in with a hard hit, an emphatic hit. But the clock is still ticking, and it is still in the Vikings' possession.
Hoyer in the backfield once again. Actually, that's not even Hoyer. That's Joe Wood. Joe Wood's a tall quarterback himself, so we didn't even notice that. They tossed the ball to the left side, and the receiver is blowing up on the play. Oh, my goodness.
That is an unbelievable hit. As God is my witness, he might be broken in half. That is a phenomenal hit. Just a little bit uncomfortable to watch. Wow, that is nasty.
It's just his palms came out there, and he threw the book of Lot him, showing his true justice in that tackle.
It's just nasty.
You nasty. But another good thing for the Vikings that happened on that play, the clock is still running.
The clock is still running.
The clock is the friend of the Vikings right now. As
4th down for the Vikings.
Prom looks to punt it out to DeQuincy Mitchell. The punt goes end over end, and it's a terrible bounce of the Vikings as it's fielded down at the 46-yard line. Or, pardon me, that's the 48-yard line. 49-yard line. Man, 3rd time's the charm on all these calls.
And on a punt, you really want anything other than a bounce that's going to come right back at you. That's just an unfortunate series of events that transpired during the punt. But hopefully the story can reign true for the Vikings with that bend and don't break mentality.
So Prom has done a terrific job kicking tonight with those terrible starting position kickoffs. He even got that two-point conversion to get the Vikings that 2-point conversion on their first touchdown. The Golden Eagles hand the ball off this time. That's Jones. Jones is stopped in the backfield, but just keeps churning his legs. And like butter, he finds his way through, slips to that defense, and gets moved down to the 47-yard line after the game. So
another player seems to be down on the field from Feather River when you got these big men begging bodies at full speed head-on collisions. Unfortunately, some things like this are going to happen. We just wish that the players are okay.
So with the injury timeout, we'll take a timeout as well as you are tuned into Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports.
leaving the field for Feather River College.
So, Dorsey Tom, the right guard, is coming off the field after what seems to be a lower leg injury. So coming into his spot is number 64, Donald Harris, as he comes to this line to block for his throwing quarterback, Ryan Albiani. So number 3 gets the ball off the side. He runs it off the right side of the line as Jaden Jones is tackled after a gain of nothing.
And that's a tough stop by the defense. They're really laying down the hammer now. And you can tell that Jalen Jones is really wanting to get those yards. He's about that action, boss. But this defense is doing a great job of keeping him at bay.
And Khalil Rubin, coming out from that nickel position, came up and got a big stop on that running play. And that's what you love to see, corners that aren't afraid to go in there and stop the run. Albiani motions his man over. That's Mitchell handing it off. They toss it out to a slant, and Payne is all over his receiver, but that pass was nowhere near the receiver. And Payne has just done a terrific job tonight, as he's shut down Eric Daniels all night long.
Payne coming down on the receiver and just doing a phenomenal job of inserting his body into the play, making his presence known, making that receiver second-guess catching the ball or have to adjust his body. That's just a phenomenal job.
So on 4th down, the Feather River offense is electing to go for it. They go out of the pistol with Albiani. Albiani gets the snap, has plenty of time to throw, slings one downfield, miscommunication, it's intercepted, and the Vikings will run it up the right side of the line. He bounces into his own defender, blown up and behind the block, and he's finally tackled down at the 45-yard line. As Jake Peralta gets the blitz, gets the interception, he can do it all for this Vikings offense.
Like a thief in the night, he comes and picks the ball off. It's easier than stealing candy from a baby. He gets the job done again for the Vikings defense. And now it's the Vikings offense turn to come out onto the field.
So I believe there was a block in the back on the offense, or on the intercepting team. So it's going to bring the ball back. And ironically, it was 4th down, so it would have been better for him to knock the ball down because they would have gotten better yardage on the play. But I mean, he had a seam, he had an opportunity to go out there, and to be honest, if you got an opportunity to make the pick, you got to take it.
Like I said, Max, these guys are out here to make plays. They're out here to get noticed. They're out here they want the spotlight on them, and not in a bad way. You know, you see a ball coming, you see an opportunity to make a play and have your name get out there, you're going to make that play, and you're going to use your God-given abilities to the best of your ability.
And the local athlete, the sophomore out of Clayton Valley High School, just down the road from here, I mean, Peralta's been the guy. I mean, Ryan Payne is really that guy that everybody's watching out. Ryan Payne, of course, has the offer from LSU, as we keep saying there. But he's on an island there by himself. We haven't had to say his name very much. But Peralta, on the other hand, in his safety position, has come up. He's filled the gaps in the run game. He's blitzed off the edge, gotten some big sacks tonight. And now he shows off that he has the hands as well.
He does have the hands indeed. Like, as we've been saying this entire night, the defense is being absolutely impenetrable this entire game. They have given up some points, but we keep going back to the bend and don't break, and that's exactly what they've been doing.
So the call officially
seems to be a flag on the field.
It's been brought down on the field, so they're going to call it back. So they didn't have 15 yards from the spot of the foul, so they'll go half the distance to the goal. So instead of possibly knocking the ball down and getting it at the 43-yard line, or the 47-yard line rather, the Vikings offense will have to take their start at the 9-yard line rather. So unfortunate for the Vikings, they don't get that good of a starting positioning. In fact, that's a terrible starting position at the 9-yard line. But they're still up 29-14, 7:25 left in this game, and they'll see if they can run it by the hands, or by the legs rather, of Turner.
You got me, Max. Maybe having the spotlight on you for the pick isn't always the best option.
Hey, still looks nice on his highlight tape, though,
always
right?
Looks nice on the huddle tapes. Absolutely. Got to get known, baby.
I mean, at the junior college level, you can't blame it. You're out here, you're competing for your team, trying to get the wins, but at the end of the day, it's about getting recruited, moving on to the next level.
At the end of the day, if you're not trying to be great, what you doing?
Exactly. So Jake Peralta, I mean, the game, the the pace of the game is slowing down a little bit now. But yeah, Jake Peralta, he's definitely putting his mark on the highlight tape, and he's going to get a ton of highlights out of this game. So Jared Hoyer comes back into this game after the stint where Joe Wood came in. Joe Wood is a freshman quarterback out of Los Lomas High School, and he's gotten his one snap in, incomplete pass, and Hoyer is back in. So on the far sideline, I think I jinxed it before talking about how the referees have been so true to their own calls. Now they're deliberating for once, and the pace of the game is slowing down just a tad bit.
Always will be a situation once or twice in the game where the referees might not agree on the same things or see eye to eye on the call.
And night is just about falling. There's a little bit of sun left on the horizon in the beautiful Diablo Valley here. You see the mountains along the far side of the stadium. You see Concord in the back, and it's just a beautiful night here in Pleasant Hill, California.
Well, when it's the darkest, Max, the biggest stars shine the brightest. And so we'll see what Feather River is made of here with just a little bit of time left here in the fourth. And let's see if the Vikings can keep on doing what they've been doing and stay on top.
So no live stats here for this junior college game, but Hoyer has been really having a night. No interceptions. When he's pressured, he's tossed the ball out, gotten out of trouble. I think he's only taken, one sack tonight. He's had a great game bouncing back from that 2 interception showing in that last game against West Hills.
Hoyer, a very underrated pocket mover.
So Hoyer lifts up his leg, positions Isaiah Turner to his right, and they hand it off to Turner. Turner, cutting up the left side, tries to get north and south at the very last moment. He's unable to, and the Vikings will lose the yard on that play.
Swept them off his feet like Beauty and the Beast, I should say.
Swept him off his feet. Feather River still has 2 timeouts left. The clock is ticking down. 7 minutes officially passes as this Vikings offense is really trying to slow down this game, run out the clock, and come out with their first dub of the season. Trips right as Hoyer gets the pass, tosses it, and it's directly into the hands of the defensive back. And Keanu Kelly comes up and gets a pick 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't change that dial. This game is not over yet. Feather River making a fantastic defensive effort, picking the ball off and converting it into a quick 6 points. And now we have ourselves a ball game, folks.
29-20 pending this extra kick, or this point after a touchdown kick right over here. But that's the old broadcaster's jinx right over there. We're talking about how well Hoyer has been playing, his great decision making, and then all of a sudden it throws the pick 6. Waiting for the kick now. The kick is up, and it goes directly through the middle of the uprights. It's good, and the Vikings still lead by 8, but it is a close ball game here at Diablo Valley College Stadium. So with that, we're going to take a break. 29-21, 6:38. A quick break here before we come back for the next kickoff. You're tuned in to Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. Here at Vikings Stadium, the Vikings lead 29-21, but off the pick 6 by the hands of Keanu Kelly, they're finally getting a little bit of a monster crawling on their back as they're starting to feel just a tad bit uncomfortable.
The Feather River College is feeling themselves on the sideline, just like Mac Dre. And they definitely feel that they have an opportunity to win this ball game, and they're lit on the sideline, and I don't blame them.
They're on the onside kick formation right now as the onside kick goes deep. It's a squib kick that's going to be picked up by Jackson. Ray Jackson picks it up, goes along the sideline, and he might go meep once again. But unfortunately, he can't break through that tackle, and he's taken down at the 34-yard line. So the Vikings were playing for the onside kick. Jackson was the only lone back. They kick the squib, and the Vikings are going to get it at 1st and 10 at the 34-yard line.
So I feel like the last possession, the Vikings got a little bit careless on that down, especially the down where they turned the ball over. It almost felt as if they knew they had the game in the bag, but a careless turnover only puts them within shouting distance with the Feather River Golden Eagles. So they definitely have to be careful here. Another
flag on the play. And it's too many men on the field for the Vikings, so that's going to move them back 5 yards. 1st and 15 now. Pardon me, they're just going to kick it off once again. They're going to re-kick it because there were too many men on the play on the kick. I thought it was too many men on the play afterwards, but they'll move up 5 yards to the 40-yard line, and they'll kick it once again. Leo Vargas out there moving up 5 yards to kick it, and the Vikings will go back to that hands team unit as the only deep man for them is Ray Jackson.
And the hardest thing to do as a unit is to keep your composure, especially when you have the lead as a unit. You know, it's very important to stay focused, especially in late game situations where you could give up the game, and that's what the Vikings need to do here.
29-21, the Vikings lead with 6:31 left in this game as Leo Vargas kicks the onside kick. High kick, it's fielded by one of the up men for DVC, and he's lit up right away. 2 defenders converging on top for the tackle.
Oh,
that was Dylan Hart
goodness.
Coming in, and that hit was so hard it looked like he almost smacked his other defender.
That is unbelievable. That hit was so lit.
Man, we've seen some real big hits from both sides of the field so far.
You could hear the thud from all the way up in the press booth. That is a gnarly hit. And now the Golden Eagles are super hyped to get that ball back and tie this game up.
But the Vikings, with that 6:27, are looking to close out this game as Isaiah Turner joins alongside the backfield in that spread pistol formation along with Hoyer. Hands it off. Turner gets stacked up right away, and he gets about a 1-yard gain. One thing we haven't seen out of this DVC offense so far tonight, they always try to run inside zone, outside zone, off tackle, power running, but they haven't done a single toss play. And I feel like though that you have the athletes in the backfield. Why not try to get them as much space as possible, toss it out there, and try to get them some opportunity to make some plays in space.
They have the playmakers. They have the talent to get those plays in space, but they are continuing to run it up the middle, and the Golden Eagles are swarming on it like a monkeys at a banana festival.
Yeah, and the way the energy is swinging right now, Uncle Mo is all the way on the side of Feather River. They're singing on the sideline, but the Vikings still have control of this game. They hand it off to Turner once again. Turner gets the ball. They go power left. He runs up the middle, and he's blown up once again. Number 50 on the play, that's Hunter Addison. The defensive lineman comes up to make the stop.
A great stop right there. TNT blasting. He was booming like Metro.
Clock continues to tick down, though. 5:10 left in this play clock. And Hoyer, will have to pass it on this play. Trips right. The running back to his left is that's Turner still. And there's a flag on the field as they get the ball out to Dylan Alves. Dylan Alves is taken down. It's first down yardage if this play stands. But we'll have to see what the flag on the field is for.
Pivotal play right here.
And unfortunately, Dylan Alves, who got the reception on that play, is on the ground now on the near sideline. He's down. The athletic trainers are swarming on top of him. And we're going to take a break with that. The penalty is going the way of the Eagles, so the Vikings will end up keeping that, or denying the penalty. They're going to move the chains, but as one of their men are on the field right now in pain, They're going to take a break, and we'll take one too. You are tuned in to Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports.
Again, Vikes fans, next Friday, 14th, BBC hosting Sac City. The game time is at 7 p.m.
Back here in Vikings Stadium as Dylan Alves, after catching the first down reception, is helped off the field by his teammates. But the Vikings offense is rolling and the clock is rolling as well. 4:46 ticking down as the Vikings go bunch right, pistol formation as they move Alexander to the right of Hoyer. Hoyer calling for the snap, hands out to Alexander. Alexander finally finding some space in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And he falls down after a 7-yard gain, going all the way down to the 48-yard line.
That's a fantastic run by Alexander. And this offense, like you said, Max, it's rolling like the Undertaker's theme song, and they're just going to keep on going.
Yeah, for the Vikings right now, they consistently run it up the middle. I mean, it's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. But for the Vikings, that insanity has paid off.
Sometimes it has worked for him, and sometimes it hasn't. But right now, it's paying off for him.
Bunch left now as Turner comes in the backfield alongside Anderson, shifting up to his left. Shotgun snap for Anderson or for Hoyer. Hoyer hands the hand off to Turner. Turner cuts it up the sideline, and he's knocked out of bounds after a huge gain on the play. And the Vikings will move the chains.
Awesome run down on the side. Even better tackle in open field. He yanked that boy down like a sad puppy on a leash.
Deshaun Moore came in there with a high tackle, assisted tackle at the end of that play, and Deshaun Moore will run off the field himself now. Unfortunately for the Vikings, or actually, pardon me, the clock is still running, so I thought they knocked him out of bounds, or I thought he stepped out of bounds on his own will, but they knocked him out of bounds, so they're going to keep the clock running. 3 minutes left, 6 seconds left in this play clock as Hoyer calls for the snap alongside Alexander. Hands it off to Alexander. Alexander spins out of the first tackle, moves to the second, and like a bulldog sniffs the ground and then falls forward for a 2-yard gain.
Alexander saw the future before he even had the ball. He probably knew that he was going to spin out of that tackle, and that's just an instinct as an athlete, and you can't teach that. That's a phenomenal play.
The thing that was so impressive on that play is he actually picked up 2 yards on the play right over there. I thought he was going to fall down flat, but he showed that core strength to keep himself upright, and he still churned forward for a positive gain.
What should have been a loss of 5 is a gain of 2.
So Brendan Johnson comes in to the game for the very first time, joined alongside Hoyer. So we'll see a new back in this game. Johnson gets the ball, and he makes some shimmies as he moves down and gets a nice gain up the middle of the field. And the clock is churning down. Almost 2 minutes on the clock, so 2:13 left on this play clock. And the Vikings will face a 3rd and 3.
Way to follow the blocks by the ball carrier all the way up through the holes. And just getting a great gain on 2nd down to make it really manageable here on 3rd down. That running back was using his feet like Ric Flair. Woo!
Ric Flair. Woo.
Ric Flair drip.
37 still in the hill back.
37 still in there. That's Brennan Johnson once again joining the party alongside Hoyer. And
flag at the
penalty
start of the
flag
play.
is on the field. That was a little preemptive. They said it's a delay of game, or false start rather. Okay.
False start is the penalty against the Vikings.
So the Vikings knew what was going on, and they call a false start. I thought that was a delay of game. I saw 1 second left on the play clock, so I was about to yell my heart out at these referees. But to be honest, they've done a tremendous job tonight.
The referees have done a tremendous job tonight. You're absolutely right about that.
I think this is the first time I've ever said a referee has done a good job. In all
It's
my
hard to
years
come
of
by.
broadcasting, it's hard to find a good group of referees, but what we have on the field tonight, they are exemplary. Isaiah Turner comes into this game now, one of the backs that's been featured so many times throughout the game tonight. And Hoyer tosses it out underneath to Roman Sahagan. And who better to get the ball than Sahagan as the Vikings look for a big third down conversion. They move the chains. And hey, who says the Vikings are even done scoring tonight?
Exactly. And you know how this goes, Max. The DBs back up, the receiving yards rack up. And that's exactly what happened on that play. And they're able to keep the chains going and just continue to run down this clock with under a minute and a half left.
1:16 left in the clock, and the Vikings are
Putting the dagger in the
awaiting
heart.
the certain victory. They line up in the backfield alongside Alexander and Jackson now. Hand it off to Jackson. Jackson goes up the left side of the field, and he falls forward for no gain on the play. And a timeout is called by Feather River. I was wondering when they're going to start using these timeouts. They had 2 left, so they have 1 timeout left. It's still a 1-possession game, so I mean the Vikings aren't quite out of this game yet, but they're still up 8 with 59.1 left in this game.
Getting a little bit more yards and being able to get in field goal range would definitely help this team out and be able to seal this game away with a real dagger in the heart.
So awaiting the dagger is this Vikings offense. They look, I mean, to be honest, last game against West Hills, they looked like a good offense. They just turned the ball over too many times. So tonight, only 2 turnovers. They had the fumble by Jackson out about the 40-yard line in the second quarter. They had that pick 6 in the fourth quarter,
Right.
but they were still up big. And to be honest, this offense is really showing up big. The defense has done a great job tonight, but this offense is just, I mean, they're finding their rhythm, and they're coming to the season strong.
If I'm not mistaken, is this the same amount of points that the Vikings had last game?
If I believe so, actually. 29 is such an odd number. But yeah, they had 29. They lost 35-29, so the Vikings might actually come out with the victory here
A pretty consistent offensive scoring team.
after putting 29 on the board, that is. So, full backfield once again as Alexander and Jackson join Hoyer. Twins out to the left, lone receiver out right. And Alexander gets the ball bowling his way forward, and he's tackled down, but that's in bounds after the 2-yard gain. And Feather River will have to take another timeout to stop the clock. So this is it right here. 3rd and 6 coming up after this timeout. Yep, it's a timeout by Feather River, so they're going to face, or the Vikings offense is going to face a 3rd and 6. If they can convert, that's the ball game. If not, we might see Prom come out here and see if he can kick his first field goal of the game.
And that'd be great. Feather River trying to find some way to stop this offense from continuing to drive down the field while the Vikings continue to try to pry open this wound a little bit more.
And man, talk about how fun this game has been. The Vikings have had control about this, or over this game the whole entire time, but Feather River's coming back here. They did not say, or they came out here. They didn't give up. You saw they had a lot of momentum coming their way after that pick 6. The Vikings steadied that. They ripped some big plays, predominantly that one to Sahagan, and put them in that position where they're at right now. But man, this game, it's been fairly back and forth. Great defensive plays from both sides. Great offensive plays from both sides. And man, it's just, this has been everything and more of what we've asked for coming in.
Absolutely. I don't think you could be more right. The intensity and the amount of aggression that has been involved in this football game has made it very easy to commentate over, and it's just a joy to watch. And you know that these are hungry, young individuals who want to shine in the spotlight.
So, the Vikings come out, face a 3rd and 6, 49.6 left on the clock, and they're up 29-21. They come out there with that full backfield, Alexander and Jackson in the backfield. And the Vikings are going to run the ball. Jackson gets it, cuts up, finds a seam, goes down, and he's knocked down right at the sticks. They'll give it to him, and with that is the dagger. DVC comes out here, and they get their first win of the season, or 43 seconds away from their first win. I jumped the gun there, but that's the dagger that's going to give them their first win.
The Diablo Valley College Vikings did a great job commanding and dictating the pace of this game, and now it's over.
One knee away from victory is the Vikings. And I hate and I love to see this at the same time, the shotgun snap knee. That is just the most...
Even until the end of the game, they continue to do shotgun snaps, and that amazes me. So as the Vikings continue to celebrate on the sideline and enjoy their victory.
And the Vikings will walk away opening night. Huge success here in Vikings Stadium as they win 29-21. 29-21, the Vikings win. We'll take a short break before coming back, talking a little bit about this performance from the Vikings, and then closing out this broadcast. You are tuned into Diablo Valley College Football on Watch DVC Sports. Back here at Vikings Stadium as the Vikings win their first game of the season. They go to 1-1 on the season. They lose their opening game to West Hills Coalinga, turning the ball over a ton of times. They turned it over twice in this game, so it's not exactly the performance that Dar's team wanted, but they still came out there with the victory. 29-21, the Vikings get the win over the Golden Eagles of Feather River. The Eagles fall to 1-1 on the season. They dominated the College of Sequoias in the very first game of the season, winning 41-6, but they did not have enough juice to get past this Vikings team on offense and defense, and the Vikings are undefeated here at home to start off the 2018 season. And we're going to do a quick thing. We typically do live stats, but we don't have our stats of the game. But we don't have stats here, unfortunately. But we're going to do something fun, and we're going to do a player of the game. So I'm going to toss it over to Noah to start off. Who is your player of the game?
Well, for me, I got to go with Jared Hoyer. I mean, the entire game, you know, he held his composure in the pocket. He did have a few hiccups along the way, but I can't hold that against him, especially with his leadership on the field. He really let loose, and he found all his targets, and he was able to hit all of his receivers, not just one, out in open space, and he really kept that offensive pass game going, opening up for the run game for guys like Alexander. And so I think that a lot of the offense comes from his production behind the center.
Yeah, Jared Hoyer really did a lot. At the beginning of the game, he seemed a little unsteady after turning the ball over 2 times and seeing all the fumbles from his offense. But then he really settled into his position, started to show off that rocket for an arm that he had, and he distributed the ball extremely well, hitting receivers like Sahag and Ross and McKenzie. And I mean, I can definitely see why he's your player of the game. But my player of the game is going to be number 21, the 5'11", 206 sophomore from Clayton Valley High School, Jake Peralta. The safety did everything tonight. He filled the gaps on the run game. He was a physical presence. He came in here when they blitzed him. He got through. He got the sacks. And on top of that, who could forget that interception that he got? A beautiful soaring interception. Played that double coverage perfectly. Two-man under. Came under. He played the deep half. Got that interception. And, man, he's been a tremendous presence for this DVC defense this whole entire season. And with that, for Kevin Tucholsky, Logan Nones, Octavio Manena, and Noah Williams alongside. This is actually Noah Williams' first broadcast ever, and he did a tremendous job. So even if you're at home, give him a little bit of a round of applause.
Thanks, Max. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And my name is Max Agress. You have been tuned into a DVC sports production here as the Diablo Valley College Vikings win 29-21 over the Golden Eagles of Feather River. And have a great night, guys.